the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hello, you guys. Welcome back to SPTV. Welcome back to SPTV, you guys, where every single day of the week we ask ourselves the same damn question. What in the literal hell is Scientology so afraid of? And every day we get to find out more and more and more things that they are very, very afraid of. A lot of things that they don't want known. So we got a lot to cover today. So welcome so much to all of you who are joining us. So let's really get into the tea of it all, you guys. Let's really prepare ourselves to dive in. So last night we took it upon ourselves, as you guys that did get to watch our live last night, we went back to the Christie Hotel. That's what it's called, you guys, for all of those that are saying, why does Serge keep calling him hotel? The Christie Hotel is on Hollywood in that corner. So everything starts by recruiting people at hotels and commercial buildings. Every once in a while, you guys, they do have a commercial building like the Austin building. So yeah, yesterday we decided to go back to audit them, and little did we know we were just missing Scientology's withhold. Isn't that great, you guys, that we got there right after the police were really going, skirt, okay, never mind. There was no fire that got anywhere. There was no fire, you guys. And we have let OSA know that we don't give a shred of an F. The building is not our problem, OSA. The building is not our problem whatsoever. Literally, we don't have any problem with the building. We're not going to hurt it. We're going to not touch it. We're not going to trespass it. We're not even going to go into an inch of y'all's property. That's not our job. Our job is exercising our First Amendment right outside of the hotel, where we are legally allowed to protest, where we are legally allowed to raise awareness about all manner of horrible stuff going on inside of that hotel. That is a feeder line for all other of their hotels, whether it's the Manor Hotel, or it's over by the Ash Show, or it's over by whatever else way they want to play it, you guys. But that's what it was. So we start with, we already took this up yesterday, with the LAPD that, again, send 4 cop cars to really come to the rescue. You would think they were maybe finally watching our videos, you guys, and coming to the rescue of the kids stuck at the hotel. But no, don't get that twisted at all. The 4 cop cars wasting taxpayer money, wasting gas, putting fumes up to the environment just so they could show up and continue to intimidate us. That is the tactic that OSA is playing. And they couldn't be more stupid. They couldn't be more idiotic, because they are making those alarming allegations without a shred of evidence, you guys. And here we are, us showing up with receipts, us showing up with what is already in the literal public record. And that just goes completely ignored by the LAPD. So the LAPD really believes in, doing investigations that have no shred of receipts. I think that's what it's called, unfounded, you guys, isn't it? Unfounded. And yeah, they'll come and waste the time and make a whole show of it and really arrive, really rushing. You know, as we are singing happy birthday to Jessica Palmadesa, shout out to her who was there on her birthday, you guys. I mean, these guys that are there really actually personify and epitomize the definition of a volunteer. Isn't that great, you guys? That is what volunteering looks like when you're spending your birthday there and you don't give a shred of an F to do anything else. You just have nothing better to do than go there and find out what in the hell is going on, who's going in the buses, where are they being loaded, how many people are still coming in and out of those centers. So it sounds like the scam and the sham is really disintegrating under scrutiny. Imagine that, you guys. And we're literally just starting to like move a couple things. Like we haven't even actually scrutinized a shred of a thing. We're literally here at the very beginning of the scrutiny, at the very beginning of the gathering of evidence, of the gathering of receipts, of the gathering of video recording that we do all now have, and that y'all are actually witnessing with us at the same time. So when we say we weren't allowed to leave the literal hotel, and you see these kids stuck there the whole day, unable to move, unable to leave, we're starting to make our point with evidence, because apparently that is what is going to take you guys to actually show up. So it's very important that we show up. We're going to continue to show up. And no matter what tactic they try, nothing is going to stop showing people up to exercise their First Amendment right. No one gives a shred of an F about hurting no one, Osa. That's you. That's your similar overs of your own. That's what y'all do. So nice projection that you're projecting on us. We are peacefully protesting. Are we pissed AF? You better believe we are. It's only kids stuck inside of that hotel that have no shred of advocate. So we would ask y'all why y'all are so peaceful. Why y'all are so, everything is so great inside these hotels. And we continue to ask the LAPD why our passport was locked away our entire formative years while we were stuck in that hotel. And we continue to ask why no one has given a shred of an F to go ask Debbie Cook that question. Why hasn't Debbie Cook been asked why she was making a practice, a systemic practice of locking up all childhoods, all minors, all passports, all ways to transport ourselves? Because again, you guys, we talked about this already. The LAPD, who really does come press to find out who is wanting to start a fire that doesn't exist, doesn't give a shred of an F about the fact that we were not only locked up against our will, our passports were taken away from us the minute we became so-called Sea Org members. So, Mike Grinder, there's no mention of passports of minors being locked up inside hotels in your billion-year contract. So maybe just add an addendum to your book. Write a little chapter and explain to everybody why you, Debbie Cook, Marty Rathbun, David Miscavige, Shelley Miscavige, Angie Trent, Angie Blankenship, Lori Englehart, Heather Hoff, Kristen Catano, Glenn Stylo, Ben Shaw, Sarah Heller have all had that little practice going for yourselves for decades. And why our passport was locked up with everyone else's. Because that is what is called being involved in a conspiracy. Conspiracy. Go and clear it in the dictionary. Go clear it really quick. If y'all were having plans to break the law when you had the best attorneys on retainer on speed dial, I mean, as if these people couldn't have just, hey, Monique, will we get in trouble if we lock up the passports of all these minors? That's all that had to happen, you guys. They had cell phones. Remember, Mike Winder? You had a cell phone. We already have you on video with you on a cell phone. So before you want to say, oh, I was also locked up and I couldn't call anybody. Well, you know what? You had a cell phone. So did Ann Rathbun. So did Marty Rathbun. So did Claire Headley. So did Debbie Cook. So did Angie Blankenship. The executives had cell phones, you guys. The executives weren't all constricted as much as they tried to really pitch that. They really tried to pitch, oh my God, we were the ones that were so abused. But they weren't abused. They were doing the abuse. They were supervising the abuse. That is the literal name of this exact live. So, yeah. So, strike 2 for the LAPD. Showing up for a fake BOMB. Showing up for a fake FIRE. I mean, you guys, as if that's not literally, and everyone could just Google it real quick for yourselves. Isn't it called like an actual crime if you go into a movie theater and you start yelling fire? Like something's really going on, and then it's completely a false report. That's not First Amendment protected stuff. If you're making false claims about public safety, OSA style, BOMB, no shred of evidence. Fire, no shred of evidence. That's not covered by the First Amendment whatsoever, Scientology. Attorneys, high-paid attorneys, that you really do have a client that couldn't be more off the rails. And you know, what is y'all's excuse? Since you get paid so much money in so much retainer, and you're supposed to keep your client on the straight and narrow. But do you guys think that these kids ever speak to the Scientology attorneys? Oh, hell no, you guys. Only the executives had access to speak to attorneys. Only them. Only them. Only someone like Debbie Cook. Only someone like Angie Blankenship. Only someone like Marty Rathbun. Only someone like Mike Winder. Only someone like Kathy True. Only someone like Sarah Heller. So the real puppet masters that do not have the excuse to have no shred of advice from counsel are the ones that are directing everyone to act unhinged, illegal, make whatever false report, make it up, pull it literally out of your you know where, and you know, just make a scene. See if we can like get rid of the pest that's outside of our buildings. That's how they look at us, you guys, when we're there. Like we're pests. Like this, they're disgusted at us every time they see us. They're like sneering and like, ugh, gross. Yeah, we are gross. We, the ones that are asking questions, are the gross ones. So, Cindy, I heard they stopped taking the passports because they finally got in trouble for it. Well, you know what? I think that's fake news. Number one, they haven't gotten in trouble for it. Where's the evidence that they have had a shred of trouble? Where is that evidence? I would love to see the evidence that no passports are being taken, and the type of trouble they've gotten into because, given the fact that we ourselves, as the children that were there, stuck with our passport, confiscated the whole time we were there, the entire time, given that simple fact that it wasn't just done to us, it was done to everybody, we would love to know how years of doing that, decades, literal decades, a practice that went on for decades, a practice that didn't stop. If you just said that it just stopped right now, didn't stop with Debbie Cook. Debbie Cook had that practice the entire time she was there. Mike Winder had that practice the entire time he was there. Claire Headley had that practice the entire time she was there. Angie Blankenship had that practice the entire time she was there. So even if today, right this second, they don't have that practice instituted, number one, if they really want to say they don't do that practice anymore, I think they just admitted to having that practice. So if they admitted to having done that for decades, then how in the hell are they really pitching that they're not a trafficking operation? So there's a lot of sanitizing of the facts and the felonies that were perpetrated. And a lot of that has nothing to do with where we are right now and the questions being asked and the questions being ignored by the corporate media and the questions being ignored by literally everyone else, as if literally on the lawsuit, on the federal lawsuit at the free winds, that was fully covered. Fully covered. Their passports were taken away from Valeska, from Gwen, and from the other plaintiff. So the idea that Scientology reforms is complete BS. They never reform, they never change, they never do anything right. They are always looking to shuffle and scuffle and launder and sanitize, and they really try to get away with as much lawlessness as they possibly can get away with. So today we are looking at the entire situation and we're looking at the facts, and we're looking at the fact that Laura didn't have her passport, Nora didn't have her passport, I didn't have my passport. Any child that has spoken up so far until now, Catherine Spallino, everybody had their passport taken away. That was the standard operating procedure. That's how those hotels were run every single day we were there. So the idea that they changed only shows that they have a guilty AF conscience, that they did know that they were doing something illegal. And you know what? Probably it changed because in Valeska's lawsuit, it was brought up. And that is the only time Scientology ever changes, you guys. The only time where they go, oh, flap. It's a flap. Remember, it's a crisis management operation, what they do inside of that hotel all day long. And that is why it's called a conspiracy, you guys, because you cannot have these people inside of the hotels calling each other and saying, yo, what's up? Oh, yeah, it came up on this lawsuit that we shouldn't be taking passports. So let me empty the safe and let's give it back. Because you know what? Then we can just say that, oh, we don't do it anymore. Oh, how great. You don't do it anymore? When did y'all stop? And how many years have you done it? Because that's all we now need to know. Oh, okay. You want to claim you don't do it anymore? Great. So when did you stop? Uh-huh. And then how many decades was that the policy? How many decades was that the policy? Because when I was stuck at the hotel, it was a policy for everybody. And I think we really need to start understanding that whatever loopholes they're trying to do, you guys, and there's plenty of loopholes that they're doing, okay? Like you've got the fact that staff members, so-called staff members, are made to be in a living quarter that is not where they work. For example, Sebastian cannot sleep at the Christie Hotel. He has to be taken to another hotel or another, what they call berthing, although, people are mistaking me seeing birthing for having birth. But in Scientology, they call it birthing. You guys go to your birthing, clean your birthing. I don't know what the hell they came up with that name, you guys, but they were really adamant about calling it the birthing. So it's kind of gross when you really think about it. But so there's another little loophole they're exploiting to themselves, right? It's like, oh yeah, they couldn't be trafficked because we really are moving them at the end of their 12-hour shifts. So there's a lot of questions that are unanswered, and there's a lot of criminal activity that has been taking place in full-blown plain sight. Because again, we would love to hear what other church, what other Mormons are going around collecting and locking up passports. Because if Scientology says just like everyone else, we would love to hear the precedent set by other so-called religious 501c whatevers, and see if y'all are also into that practice. And if that's just a religious misconception that we had, and that we were just having a religious experience as our passports were being taken away, as I just saw here from Case in the House, as her passport was taken away in the free ones, as they logged it to make sure that no one could escape, you guys. They didn't want us to escape. And even today, the matter is, sure, you're giving them their passports back. They still have to escape through a fence. They still have to escape through, the ability that if they ever even make it to an airport, Scientology's calling the airport and checking, oh, look, she's going on this flight. Oh, look, it leaves from this area. Oh, look, we have someone from Tampa org that is going to go run and grab them before they leave. So, yeah, maybe their passport, now that it's in a lawsuit, the stupid zero due diligence attorneys really went back to, oh, really? Just give it back to them, just make sure they don't escape. Just make sure no one leaves. Because, L. Ron Hubbard did say that leaving without permission was a crime. Birthing is actually a Navy term. Thank you, S squared. Well, there you go, you guys. Like, more wishy-washy words that they utilized to really showcase themselves as a army. But army of what? Army of what is what we're asking ourselves, right, guys? Army of what exactly? So we have this description, which is do Crime-tology executives help systemically launder felonies? And there's something that I wanted to share with you guys in terms of like a parallel case in legal spheres that involves trafficking, systemic trafficking of minors. But wouldn't you know that even Ghislaine and Jeffrey are not accused of stealing passports? So just keep that in mind, that Debbie Cook required all passports to be under lock and key. Jeffrey and Ghislaine allowed the girls to leave the home and then come back and then get paid. And then they could leave and then they could come back. They could be taken to an island. Maybe at the island they took the passports, but I haven't heard that allegation made in anything that I've looked at, So maybe not. But the disturbing parallels between Epstein's blackmail operation and the reported activities within Crime-Ology hotels regarding minors exploited demand an unflinching examination of what has been disclosed to the public. Both cases involve systemic exploitation and recruitment of underage individuals thrust into a dark underworld where their innocence is weaponized and exploited for the gain of the adults. As we continue to scrutinize the existing information, a series of questions arise, challenging the corporate media's washed-up narrative that seek to bury accountability and effectively launders the image of all executives and all parents that are implicated in getting their kids to these hotels. Firstly, it's essential to acknowledge the similarities, the utilization of underage individuals, the systemic tokenization of vulnerable youth, and the reprehensible schemes that they were subjected to, including but not limited to data mining of highly incriminating information, all fully self-admitted. The public record reveals not only the gravity of these acts, but also the loopholes in the legal framework of the sham 501c propped up and designed to effectively ensnare unsuspecting, naive, gullible minors. Epstein's case is notorious for its association with high-profile figures, adding an additional layer of complexity to the narrative because, wouldn't you know, who else is filled with high-profile figures, you guys? Bingo, Scientology. Y'all are very smart. You're keeping up. Good job, you guys. Good job. In contrast, Crime-Ology's hotels seem to be implicated in a broader pattern of abuse, as evidenced by recent video leaks detailing strategies to shame and exploit others, and a leaked video of how criminologists spin the facts to serve their own convenient cognitive dissonance. And that's a video that we're gonna show you guys today. New video that I guess was a leak. And it took me a while to really analyze and understand what in the hell this video was, you guys, because I just saw it and I was like, what the hell is this? Is this fake? But there you are, Scientologists in the wild talking to themselves, you know. And let's just give you this little tidbit in front of actually seeing the video. They mentioned child slaves. So we're going to get into that. Serious AF critical questions do emerge. What in the metamorphical water in Florida? What's in the metamorphical water in Florida that permits such indefensible practices to persist? Like, why Florida, you guys? What in the hell is going on in Florida that all of these disgusting operations just seem to, you know, really thrive? How have laws designed to shield children from exploitation been circumvented? And why have they been only inadequately enforced? So really are asking ourselves, why Florida? Why California? Let's not forget the scourge of this shit, even though for me it happened in Florida. The scourge of that disgusting thing happens just in this literal state as well. The focus must extend beyond the perpetrators to those who, by their negligence or complicity, facilitated systemic victimization of minors. The parents, who arguably should have been the primary protectors, need to actually face scrutiny. How and why did they relinquish their children to be used in such abhorrent ways? How and why is what we're asking you guys. How and why did they relinquish their children to be used in such abhorrent ways? Legally, how are they not implicated? And why is the issue of consent, involvement, and financial gain continuously sanitized? These questions underscore the urgency of reevaluating the legal framework surrounding child protection. And a recent alarming video leak showing individuals discussing tactics to ensnare others into the child slave scheme presents damning evidence. That is exactly the video that we're going to review today, you guys. As we continue our investigation, we draw attention to legal defenses such as claiming involvement in a cult. But, we're referencing cases like the Manson followers and Ruby Frankie's conviction for child abuse to push back on that sham, wimpy AF defense. The misuse of religious or cult-like justifications for heinous acts perpetrated on kids does not absolve individuals from legal consequences and are not a valid defense. We extend our questions to question, why is it that not only the executives who were the perpetrators of the trafficking, but also the parents who knowingly or unknowingly played a role in subjecting their children to unspeakable horrors. The narrative must be stripped of any whitewashing, and a relentless pursuit of truth is imperative. In a society that upholds the principles of justice, the exploitations of minors should never find refuge behind legal loopholes or cult-like pathetic AF excuses. We are armed with receipts, and we are determined to dig deeper and pull strings and expose the dark underbelly of these practices until justice actually, literally, MF prevails. So that's how we want to start here, you guys. Let's actually review this segment that came out from the corporate media. This is a show from, I think it's The Hill, and they're talking about the name of the segment is, I need to link it down below. I forgot, I was about to do it, you guys, but it's hard keeping up with all these things, to be honest, but we're doing our best. But the segment is called, you guys, let me just get this. Oh, here. Okay, huge Epstein revelations. Did Bill Clinton personally witness sex abuse? Huge Epstein revelations. Did Bill Clinton personally witness sex abuse? So let's start digging into the weeds of this case, you guys, and let's start looking at what's different and looking at what's similar, because there are differences and there are things that are similar. So let's see what we can learn today. Let's go through this together.
All right, well, Robbie, another batch of Epstein documents are out. Here's what you need to know. Newly unsealed deposition records from 2016 reveal Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre told prosecutors that she was paid $15,000 to have sex with Prince Andrew in the 1990s. Giuffre also claimed she
All right, you guys. The difference. No one ever inside of those hotels paid $15,000 to have sex with me. But people did pay, including but not limited to $15,000 plus, to get interrogated inside of a hotel by me. Now, before everybody says, well, yeah, but that couldn't be so much different. That could be so, yeah, they're different. They're different. See, Epstein was using the girls to just literally be the blackmail. Debbie Cook was utilizing us to implicate the people paying to be implicated. Let's not forget, these people were paying to answer incriminating questions. Why? I have no literal shred of a clue, you guys. I would love to understand. I would love to really understand that. Given, like I just told you, the generic question that everybody had to answer on just the A to J check with everybody had to do was, have you committed any felony for which you have not been arrested? So given that that is a generic on the form thing that we were supposed to be gathering for Debbie Cook, people were paying these exorbitant amounts of money to really get a child implicated in their scheme, in whatever hell thing they thought, oh, well, this could be just such a great idea for me to really tell you about this criminal act for which I have not been arrested. So that is the difference. So it's not the same. They weren't literally paying for that, although there's plenty of examples, you guys, and I always bring up my friend Natalie Galbiati because she definitely was having sex inside of those hotels. So there were plenty of other examples of sex happening inside of the hotels. And, you know, Debbie Cook would know all about it. Every nauseating detail of what was done, where the sex was had, how many times they did it, information from the witness, the child, information from the adult, the full admission of what they did. If the adult wasn't saying something, then they would get it more out of the child, and then they would ask tailor-made questions to fully implicate the adult. So yeah, the adult couldn't escape, and the adult had no legal advocate next to him as he's being interrogated to incriminate himself. So let's really advocate for them too today, you guys. The people being asked to get themselves incriminated against their Fifth Amendment right had no one to advise them to not be answering those questions. In their own stupidity, they paid to answer the question. So I don't know who's at fault there or where that lands. But it's very important that people start understanding that blackmail collection, which is why Virginia Giuffre was being used to literally create blackmail. Well, all these executives were doing exactly the same. Collecting blackmail, utilizing, implicating minors, making us be their collectors of the blackmail. And don't forget that if we fail to find out about the felony, if the person that was an adult duped us, and then it later got found out that we were pathetic interrogators that let it go, then we were the ones who were going to have our head put on a pike. That's what they called it, you guys. Let's really put our head on a pike. L. Ron Hubbard says, put a head on a pike so that everybody gets the message. So let's make sure that that's understood and contextualized so that Debbie Cook cannot continue to collect her little checks while playing dumb. She couldn't be more implicated. And just like it says here, did Bill Clinton have any personal witness of sex abuse? Well, you know what? Who was a witness of sex abuse? Debbie Cook. Debbie Cook.
Called at least 2 occasions where former President Bill Clinton visited Epstein's island and dined with young women. She could not confirm any sexual abuse on Clinton's part. However, when asked whether the former president was a witness to the sexual abuse of minors, Ms. Giuffre said, yes, he would be a witness because he knew what my purpose there was for Jeffrey, and he visited Jeffrey's island. She added, there's pictures of nude girls all around the house at all of his houses, and it's something that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't shy about admitting to people. Giuffre also reported seeing Donald Trump at Epstein properties, but again, did not accuse him of abuse.
Giuffre did name other names as well. She said she was trafficked, made to have sex with former Victoria's Secret CEO Lex Wexner more than 5 times. She also said that she was made to have sex with at least 2 American politicians, including former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson and former Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell. She also named American businessman Glenn Dubin and former modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel, and one other person whose name is still redacted in these documents, interestingly enough. Meanwhile, Epstein's brother, Mark, got into it with Leland Vittert on News Nation last night. Let's watch.
There's very few people who knew him the way you did. And you hear all these allegations that he was providing women, some of age, some not of age, to other men to compromise them. There's allegations of videotapes.
So there you go, guys. Who else was providing minors to men and women? Don't forget, this is not just men helping themselves. This was women, full-blown women paying to be audited by minors themselves. So not just men. This is not just like, oh, this is the men that were the crazy ones. Here's the men and the women. Women that were mothers. Women that, you know, saw a kid literally locked in a room doing audits and thought, what a great kid. Isn't he so lucky? Plenty of mothers knew what we were being put to do, you guys. And where is a shred of public record repudiation of what should have been common sense? What should have literally been common sense. And yes, there has been no outrage because everybody has really bought the pitch that audits could not be any more religious experiences for kids getting locked up in there. And that's what we're pushing back on. There was nothing religious about being locked up against our will. There was nothing religious about being literally tasked to incriminate whoever in the hell was put in front of us, or else our head would be put on a pike. So collecting blackmail, video recording it, check mark, check mark, check mark.
That have been recanted on and on and on. But does all that surprise you, or you hear about that and you kind of go, gee, there was always something about him that as a brother, you go, that kind of makes sense?
No, it doesn't make sense to me. I think he was just, like you said, he was just having a good time. Jeffrey liked to have a good time. And unfortunately, he chose to do it with women that were too
hold
young.
on. There's a big difference, though, between having...
I wasn't there. So you're asking me to speculate, and I really don't want to speculate because I wasn't there.
Okay. And look, I wouldn't want to know this. I don't have a brother, but I wouldn't want to know this about anybody I loved. I mean, the allegations are frankly revolting when you hear about what your brother is accused of doing. On a personal level, I know this would be hard to hear about a family member.
On a personal level, it's very hard to hear these disgusting allegations, you guys. And that's what we're getting pushback. That's exactly what we're getting pushback. Oh, well, you know, I just heard that they really liked it at the hotel. You know, they were having a good time for themselves. They were winning. They were always telling me how great it was, that they were having a good time there. Why were underage kids provided for adults? Why were all our passports locked while we couldn't leave the hotel, while we couldn't say no? If Debbie Cook told you, audit that person, you could not tell her no. If Debbie Cook told you, make me this money, you could not say no. So having a good time is how, you know, some of these people on the outskirts really want to remember the situationship that they really were all involved in. And we keep speaking to our very own experience inside of Debbie Cook's hotel, since that's where we got stuck, unfortunately for us, working for that depraved woman.
So I appreciate you being willing to discuss it with us. And like you, I think there's a lot of people who want more answers.
So many of these, names that we're seeing are names we've heard before. We've heard Bill Richardson before. Obviously, Jean-Luc Brunel is someone who I believe also died of suicide in prison. And these other people, names we've heard. You can read in the filings where the.
And let's just look at this headline really quick, you guys. Virginia Giuffre says Bill Clinton, a witness to sexual abuse, a witness to it. So we haven't said, and I have no knowledge of Debbie Cook being personally implicating doing the abuse herself on a minor. So yeah, Debbie Cook, no one is accusing you of doing that. I never found out that you ever did that. And I would have found out because y'all told everyone everything. I know plenty of other executives, which we're not even going to name right now, you guys, because we don't want to divert the attention from Debbie Cook. But they were having sex. They were doing all manner of stuff inside of those hotels. What do you all think? They purported to be the most ethical people on the planet. They couldn't be more pathetically deluded. They couldn't be more the most perverse people on the planet. But, do you see how that works, you guys? Oh, we're the best. We really are the most ethical. And that's all it took for them to really go with that delusion. Very similar to how these kids at the testing center at the Christie Hotel look at us like, you guys are the disgusting ones. We are the perfect ones. We are the ones sacrificing our entire life to really save the universe. So I know that sounds far-fetched and idiotic. And why are, people that are trafficked so convinced that they want to do what in the hell they're doing? Well, there they are on the public record, you guys. We already saw Jessica Palmedesa and Confident Chris walking around finding more recruiters in another location of Scientology, a girl from El Salvador that, was very convinced that she was doing exactly what she wanted to do. She even told the guy that they were trying to pull her away from, I'm a volunteer, when Jessica and Chris brought up that she works 110 hours a week. I'm a volunteer. Yeah, they're volunteering for what in the hell they're doing in those hotels. That still does not make it okay. That still doesn't whitewash shit. They're still getting paid. A lot of people are going, oh, but they only got paid $53. So what? They knew that was the pay. It's not like they didn't tell them, oh, you're going to get paid a lot. No, they did it knowing there was going to be no pay. But they were getting off on the power trip of being part of these hotels. So given that an exorbitant amount of minors are implicated, doesn't make sense. If we would have had a 14-year-old handing out those pamphlets and trying to sell books right now, they don't do that anymore, you guys. When they recruit them that young, they keep them away from prying eyes. So all you see in the streets are the good-looking 18 and up.
The witness, Virginia Giuffre, is going through how many times it was, has difficulty remembering exactly when it was and exactly what age she was at the time, but says that Bill Clinton would have been aware of what was going on, though did not specifically witness it. Again, says Donald Trump there at times, although there was no sexual activity with him. So a lot of what we've already heard, there is this redaction still in here, which is pretty remarkable because this is someone who she has accused, according to this filing, of sexual misconduct, like not just being a witness or being around or something, but actually engaging in illegal sexual activity with her.
Yeah, look, on some level, this is getting incredible to have to parse in this way, knowing what we already know about Epstein. And I think that interview with Epstein's brother really foregrounds how we're all kind of tiptoeing around the obvious. Jeffrey Epstein was.
And I couldn't agree with her more, you guys. And that's why we're having these conversations here. Because we need to stop tiptoeing around the obvious. And that's why we've made our points, diluted them so that everybody has no shred of chance to play dumb. So foregrounding the fact that kids get locked up in these so-called audits against their will, that all of us that have spoken up had our passports locked up. So those are just two facts that don't make a shred of sense. In what world was a child being helped by being locked against their will? They weren't being helped inside of Debbie Cook's hotels. They were being pawns. They were being sold. They were being abused and exploited and trafficked in disgusting, unthinkable ways that no one on the outside would know, you guys. If you didn't go inside of the hotels, we can give you all the context in the world. We can tell you all about it. But you have to have been there at the hotels to know how it works. And there's plenty of people that were there that, are conveniently being senile today. And, forgetting all about that part. The Scientology part is what they never want to literally contextualize because it's indefensible AF. And the minute they start going there into the weeds, well, the devil's in the details. So let's keep everyone at a glib understanding of what in the hell goes on so that, we look good. And that's called laundering the image. That's called not coming clean. That's called telling always part of a withhold, but not the rest. That's called giving paperclip withholds so you don't come clean. And you have the appearance of coming clean. And everyone goes, oh my God, look at you coming so clean. Meanwhile, you don't know that they're just feeding you things that they want you to hear. It's called a short story. They're masters at the short story. How do you think they were able to prop up these hotels this whole time? You think that they weren't good at telling people how to spin things? Oh, let's just spin it like this. And then all of a sudden, people will just put this false equivalent here. And then all of a sudden, we control the way you perceive reality. That is how predators operate, you guys. All of it is a MF Fugazi. All they do is go blah, blah, blah to cover up, to sanitize, to falsely spin and position. And all of a sudden, everyone's very confused because, yeah, we did say that, religion in America, whatever you want to believe goes. So who are we to tell these people at the hotel that they can't be inside of the hotel? And yeah, we're asking ourselves that question right about now too, you guys. Right about now, we're asking ourselves that question because in what world are you telling an adult what to do? In what world do you owe babysitting to adults that want to implicate themselves in a conspiracy? In what world is that?
Was convicted of procuring children for prostitution and soliciting a prostitute back in 2008. He was a convicted sex offender for well over a decade before he ended up in jail, most recently where he died.
And then again, you guys, in what world is a child a prostitute? Because the literal thing that these people talk about is so offensive AF. And they're going to get into it more, okay? But Florida is the most disgusting, most lawless state that I've ever lived in myself personally. Let's just put that on the record right now.
So that combined with testimony like we phrased, where she's talking about how there were pictures of nude women all over his houses, that he wasn't shy about talking about his predilections, and the amount of time and the frequency with which these high-profile figures, whether it's Bill Clinton or Donald Trump, were at those properties and in proximity with Epstein, the way it's being discussed, it feels as though everyone should have known, especially given that people were continuing these relationships long after the point in time in which he was already a convicted child sex trafficker.
All right, guys, and let's just talk about that for a second. Convicted. Now, never mind that L. Ron Hubbard was not convicted of child trafficking. And never mind that we do know, as of today, that there were plenty of minors in that Apollo ship. a literal flotilla. And it would be great to know what kind of passport controls L. Ron Hubbard was having for himself. But we do know that there's all manner of messengers, young messengers that were being used for him to do disgusting things. So we do know that. And convicted, indicted felon L. Ron Hubbard was. Full convicted, indicted felon. So, and yes, a ton of books that pitched all of his dysfunction. So everything is there on the public record for everyone to see. Now, yeah, we don't blame you for not knowing that audits resulted in us getting locked up against our will. Yeah, we don't blame you for that. That's how L. Ron Hubbard intended it. That's how his proteges intended it. Let's put a lot of blah, blah, blah everywhere, make it all confusing, make it very like undigestible. That's why like not even professors of universities can read through the thing and connect a shred of dot. It's all hocus pocus, bogus AF. But suffice it to say that when you understand what's important, you can go, all of this, I don't give a shred of an F. I just need to understand this one point. Why are children locked up against their will? And I want to know that from all Scientology parents, current and exes, and all Scientology executives, current and exes. The current ones are still implicated as we speak. The ex ones can go take themselves to the closest FBI crimes against children unit and tell them what in the hell you were all about doing and start immunizing yourselves. We don't give a shred of an F. Go and immunize yourself. Go and actually give something to law enforcement that they cannot play dumb about. You owe it to the kids that are being literally abused as we speak. So as much as you all want to play dumb real well, your luck is out AF. You are all implicated. You are all exposed. You were all part of that disgusting club. You all had a paid membership. So quit your BS pitch about how religious you were and how you really thought you were going to save the world. You couldn't sound more pathetic. As of this year, 2024, you couldn't sound more pathetic. So by all means, miss us with the BS pitch that you really thought you were going to save the world by abusing kids, because make that make sense to us right now. That's what in the hell we need to make sense.
So for the brother to sit there and be like, I don't really know. He's my brother. I wasn't there. You weren't there. You had no proximity and relationship to your brother, who apparently was so open about his habits that he had framed pictures of these women all around his house. You have Donald Trump being famously quoted as having said about Epstein, it is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side.
And who do we have quoted in our little community lines, you guys? The RTC executive, Jesse Prince, who did talk to us about the way it went inside of the hotel, the way these executives were acting in a criminal conspiracy together, operating as a team, knowing what each other was doing and thinking and coordinating thereby and therewith. People who cooperate one with another to push forward a common purpose, and they normally got along so great. So they couldn't be more implicated together and talking about how, here's the exact quote, you guys. Statement by RTC executive, ex-RTC executive Jesse Prince. You are asked to do things that are illegal. You are asked to do things that are criminal. You know from your position. And then pretty soon you are doing it. Everyone else is doing these criminal activities. So yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, everybody knew that he was unhinged out of his mind, really liking him young. Well, these RTC executives also liked them young. Also wanted them young. As if Valerie Haney and literally Emily Jones, weren't selected, hand-selected by Shelley to go work for Dave to be their stewardess because they liked them young. You think these executives didn't like our youth? Are we really talking about that? Are we really saying that they didn't give a shred of an F and they just were so pressed to really, apply a technology that they were trying to enrich themselves with? They were trying to monetize for themselves. You guys, I don't give a shred of an F that Debbie Cook was idiotic enough to take the top tier position of these hotels, being paid $50 a week. It's how much she liked trafficking kids. For $50 a week, Debbie Cook trafficked as many kids as she could get her hands on. $50 is all it took. And yes, she made $2 million for this sham that she really felt she was a part of. Because don't remember, oh yeah, we're all just belonging to this, and I'm a board of director, I'm a part of this, and this is my legacy, and I have these hotels, I own these hotels. They thought themselves the owners of the hotels, you guys. That's how pathetic they were. That's how pathetic. That's how they were getting off on this power trip. Oh my God, I'm the one that owns this hotel. So, yeah, that's, again, the similarities and the difference. Epstein, everybody knew that he liked them young. Well, Jesse Prince tells us that all the executives knew that they were expected to commit criminal activity inside of the hotels, and everybody was okay with it.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of the fact that jokes were told about Harvey Weinstein, like at award ceremonies. Family Guy made a joke about it. Like for years and years, there were jokes about him, and everyone kind of went, "Oh, ha, ha." But they knew, so they knew on some level.
Well, guess where else everyone's going, ha, ha, ha. You guys, bingo, Scientology. Oh, the Sinu story. Let's talk about Sinu ad nauseum. Let's really talk about Sinu ad nauseum. We don't give a shred of an F about Sinu, given that no child inside of those hotels really has to ever hear that word. It was not our problem. It was our parents' problem, delusion, confusion, whatever in the hell that was about. But again, there's all this he, ha, 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 and there's actually zero confront for who's actually implicated, who are victims, who have no shred of advocates inside the hotel, outside the hotel, or anywhere in the literal world. Those kids, their advocate is not their senior, their so-called senior. We heard already from Bianca how Debbie Cook terrorized Bianca and terrorized me. She was our senior, you guys. We had to call that woman sir. We had to call that woman Mr. Cook. So yeah, executives of Scientology, especially the women, you guys, especially the women's were very pressed to have their pronouns changed. I mean, as much as the LGBTQ gets a lot of shit for having pronouns change, you do not want to literally say, oh, hi, Debbie, how are you doing? You really did not want to be that kid that called Debbie by her first name in those halls if you were her slave. If you were a rich Scientology kid, then, oh, it's so nice to see you. It's so great to have you at Flag. Debbie Cook would turn into like chummy little Miss Muffin. But if any of her kids, I specifically remember like the cadet kids that had just been put as expediters, literally called her Debbie. And you would have had to have seen her face of disgust. And then the ass whipping, not literal ass whipping, but the deranged diatribe coming out of that woman to really, enforce her domination and really show who's got the ethics presence. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard told his, deranged proteges, you guys, that ethics presence was achieved by really being very like rah, 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 and angry and yelling and throwing shit at you and everything. This was corroborated by Reese, Dan O'Connor, throwing phones, throwing shit at the wall, all of the executives that you've all heard of, ad nauseum telling the Tampa Bay Times, yes, we were being beat. We got the whole story about how, David Miscavige in his terry cloth robe, who we still don't know if he's got underwear or not, as he's like throwing a man 3 times his size to a literal tree. So yeah, violent AF. We'll give them that. And that's who had full custody over us. Those violent AF MFers is who we were supposed to look up to, is who we were supposed to feel that they really were looking after us. But turns out they were looking out for themselves, you guys, because they were so happy to really be doing the bidding of a convicted, indicted felon, going back to Jeffrey Epstein and L. Ron Hubbard were both convicted and indicted. Jeffrey for the prostitution of kids. Imagine that, this fucking state of Florida that couldn't be more disgusting. That really just went with that one real quick. Okay, let's really go with this one, you guys. I mean, again, it goes to show you how all kids have zero advocates and everybody expects them to just take the abuse. No legal intervention will be done, and they will try to play dumb as much as they can. All the legal people implicated themselves on this. Alex Acosta, the so-called, IG at the time, the AG at the time. And now we have the woman, what's her name, Ashley Moody, that really wants to go on her website and talk about, oh, yeah, we really care about trafficking in Florida, you guys. And she's done shred nothing. So it's all just blah, blah, blah. Nothing to do with reality. Let's really pitch this. Let's really pitch that and see how many people we can, scam and scheme to really prop us up, because we really have to hold these positions of power where, doesn't matter if we do our job or not. We just sit here and hold the power levers and act corrupt and out of our minds because these hotels are running as we speak. Kids were taken in session today. Kids were being audited today. Kids were being asked disgusting questions by adults. Kids are locked up against their will inside of these sessions. Kids are being exposed to ethics handlings. Kids are being made to go on course and drill with a doll to go get interrogated. So by the time you get interrogated, well, you drilled it with a doll and you thought, well, you know what? I thought this was valid. I thought we took everything in good faith, you guys. We did. As the gullible, naive, dumb kids that we were, thinking that, yeah, Tom Cruise is involved. We couldn't be racketeering in this place. And then turns out that we were just a bunch of racketeers inside of that hotel, doing the bidding of a disgusting, unhinged woman, Debbie Cook, that really wanted to, get the dirt on people because that's how she was going to help.
Yes.
What was going on. That's what it reminds me of.
And Melinda Gates separating from Bill Gates in part over her discomfort with their relationship. I mean,
and Bill Gates is frankly one of the worst offenders here in terms of continuing to associate with Epstein long after his criminal behavior was prosecuted, was that he was convicted of, and continuing to have a business relationship with him, continuing to exchange emails. That's also true of these couple officials at Bank of America and in the Virgin Islands, et cetera. So yeah, it continues to be lurid and horrible.
I mean,
it's not just having a good time. I'm glad Leland, of course.
Lurid and horrible. Again, you guys, those are pretty good words to describe the experiences of kids inside of those hotels. Lurid and absolutely horrible. And we would love to invite any Scientology parent that would love to set us the record straight and pitch real quick for yourselves. You have 48 hours to respond and put something up for yourselves and say, sir, you're out of your mind. The audits couldn't have been greater for kids. They weren't locked against their will. The auditor's code doesn't exist. Nothing was video recorded. Nothing was transcribed. Everybody was having a religious experience. Because you know what, guys? They cannot do that. Because you know what, guys? They be lying. And we would catch them in a second. In a literal second. We're not as dumb as the LAPD. Lucky for us, we were trained on how to interrogate. Lucky for us, we were trained how to ask questions, how to pull strings, as if our literal life depended on it. by Debbie Cook, by Marty Rathbun, by Angie Trent, by Sue Gentry, by all the women that mentored me on how to interrogate, on how to get to the bottom of things. Go get it, Serge. You can get it. You can confront evil. You're so good. You're so great. You're so last lifetime.
Jumped on him for saying
Right,
that because
right.
it's not just having a good
I mean,
time,
can
like
you
you're
imagine
partying
saying
too
something
hard.
like
These were
that?
underage girls.
These
He
are
went to,
girls.
yeah.
These are girls that were around. And apparently, according to, again, just as according to Guifrey, the purpose of their presence was known. Now, it's hard for me to imagine that wouldn't be the case. Why else would a bunch of 60-year-old men have some girl who is not their peer in business, in politics, in life, in any respect, around all of the time?
Isn't that such a great question, guys? Why were 60-year-old men, including but not limited to, 50-year-old women, including but not limited to, 40-year-old men, including but not limited to, 30-year-old men, including but not limited to, 21 and up men and women, both women and men, paid to get locked up with minors, paid to go get service at hotels by minors, paid for it. Somebody at the streets, one of the kids that we go with, literally just asked me, oh, I saw Nancy Cartwright coming out of the Celebrity Center. Nancy Cartwright pays for this. Nancy Cartwright donated her own daughter to this hotel. She couldn't be more implicated herself. Oh, but I've donated so many millions that you've been writing off of your taxes, Nancy. Why in the literal hell have you been donating so much money, given that your own daughter is who you gave to this organization? And if you don't know what type of problems your daughter was running into, that's on you being a deadbeat mom. That's on you for not finding out what in the hell you were exposing your own daughter to. So yeah, be great to understand why us in our literal formative years, 12 years old, Ekaterina Tihinova, brought here from Siberia by Debbie Cook. Catherine Spellino in The Bad Cadet. How old was she? So plenty of kids, plenty very underage. Why in the hell were they with people that were not their peers, with people that had nothing to do with their lives, and skip the BS pitch that it was for a religious experience? Because you know what? That's just even more nauseating right now as we really think about it. It's like, oh, well, you know, Serge, we really thought we were going to have a religious experience for ourselves. And we really did call the IRS right afterwards. Okay, IRS, can I just write off $40,000 off my taxes because I'm about to go get interrogated and self-incriminate myself with a child inside of a hotel? Oh, okay, great. I can. Wonderful. Okay, great. See ya. That's what we need to understand from the IRS, you guys. This is aided and abetted, facilitated, enabled, and brought to you by the IRS. As much as everybody wants to go after David Miscavige, go after the IRS commissioner. Who are the enablers of the predators? The predators cannot hunt by themselves. The predators cannot breathe real oxygen. They need an environment of corruption to breathe, to proliferate, to continue the scam and the scheme.
Let's not act Pollyanna. Let's not act like we were born yesterday. So
let's not act Pollyanna, and let's not act like we were born yesterday, because we weren't born yesterday, you guys. Now we have a few decades on Earth under our belt. So I love that phrase, let's not act Pollyanna, which is the go-to for all the Scientology parents. Oh, what? We were doing what? No. oh no, we really thought we were going to save the world, but David Miscavige was abusing us. Wasn't that what we were all saying together as a team? Weren't we all just regurgitating that sanitized talking point so that we would, see David go to prison and then we could all just go back to the hotel? Because, by the time David leaves, then other executives like Jan Leserve could really come up and say, oh, I'm going to take over. And now we're going to continue L. Ron Hubbard's legacy. So let's not act Pollyanna or like we were born yesterday, because lucky for us, we weren't born yesterday, you guys, and you were not born yesterday, since so many of you have so many insightful things to say about what's being literally exposed.
I mean, the implications of this are interesting because there is, on some level, even from Guifrey, she's saying, I cannot attest to these powerful people like Trump or Clinton having personally used the quote unquote services, personally engaged in sex trafficking with these girls, use these girls who have sex trafficked for that purpose, have been sex trafficked for that purpose. However, and so the criminal element, this isn't a conversation about their criminal culpability, at least at this point. But I think that doesn't preclude having a conversation about what this means about society, what it means about the elite culture and the culture of protecting the bad habits and bad actions of the elites among us. If
the culture of protecting the bad habits of the elites among us, you guys, as if Scientology is not filled with elites, so-called elites. It's a millionaires club in there. Go ask Debbie Cook. Go ask Debbie Cook how many millionaires she was servicing inside of her hotels. Tampa Bay Times. Put that on your notes. Put that on your literal notes. How many millionaires were you servicing, Debbie Cook? How many minors were servicing those millionaires? And how do you sleep at night? Those little 3 questions for the Tampa Bay Times, since they have no shred of a clue how to ask a single question, you guys. Just those 3 questions, Thomas C. Tobin. Ask yourself those damn questions first. Really ask yourself those 3 questions.
Some of the most powerful people in the world, British royal family, who has been accused of actually engaging in these sex acts, are able to do so with a level of impunity that they are openly hanging out with a convicted sex offender.
Well, guess who else is openly practicing all these things? Guess who, you guys? I said we don't have the top tier of Hollywood, from Elizabeth Moss to literally Tom Cruise to literally John Travolta. I mean, it makes me nauseous to even mention their names, because they are such literal top predatory part of this hotel operation. Because, just so that they can get off being treated like so-called royalty, like she's saying, that's all they were going for, you guys. What do you think Scientology executives have to offer Tom Cruise? What do you think Scientology executives have to offer Elizabeth Moss? They're treating them like royalty, as if Leah Remini hasn't already put that on the public record ad nauseum, how like royalty celebrities are really supposed to be treated inside of the hotels. Now, we would argue that the royalty comes with a price, because as they're being treated as royalty, they're being literally spied on every one of their moves, as if Lisa Marie didn't have to literally fire her entire staff because she found out she was being spied on. She was being literally betrayed. Her whole entire fortune was being literally run to the ground. And these people were all over her household. So what's Lisa doing now? So what did she say today? So what's going on? So what's the handling? What we're going to do to handle her? And they're all conspiring together, propping up data mining information from Riley, from Benjamin, from every single person that is in that house. Where was her privacy? Nowhere to be MF found. Because her own mother, Priscilla Presley, who was brought into this sham by John Travolta, who everybody thinks is America's sweetheart, Really, John Travolta, America's sweetheart, you exposed Lisa Marie Presley to this. Benjamin is nowhere around anymore, John Travolta, and I'm sure you didn't help anything by introducing them to the thing that you were so pressed to really do for yourself. Full-grown adult that you were. So yes, the celebrities couldn't be more implicated, more being treated, and more being goo-gooed, gaga'd, and cradled and canoodled, and whatever crazy ass thing you want to do inside of a hotel, go for it. The LAPD will be standing by, ready to answer the next BOMB fake AF threat and really come to your rescue so you can really practice whatever in the hell it is that you do in those hotels.
Yeah.
For years, without the press, without their other powerful peers, without anybody raising enough of a stink to put him into
Jeffrey
it.
Epstein himself was able to do it with impunity at some level. He was prosecuted and then got a light sentence and house arrest, and then was able to get right back at it. He was able to lobby the government of the Virgin Islands to change their sex offender laws to make his life less inconvenient.
And
that's remarkable.
And it's worth noting also that he got that sweetheart deal from a prosecutor who ended up being Donald Trump's Secretary of Labor, who had to quietly step down when that came to light. But even that didn't have anywhere close to the level of fanfare that we're now engaging in over speculation about, say, Hunter Biden's business practices. I would argue that this merits at least as much scrutiny.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to note. Yeah, I've covered a lot of sex crimes cases for young people when they interact with social media. I used to cover just kind of school policies and school disciplinary matters more. And they're really sad, frustrating stories, teens exchanging dirty photos with each other, and if they're, one is 16 and one is 17, it's different in every state, but it can often count as child pornography, and you get these really harsh sentences and sex offender registration for kids who are engaging in, again, not their parent, should be grounded or something, but they're not sex criminals for having interest in people their own age. But they get the book thrown at them, they get their lives wrecked, they get no access to electronics, and these charges stick. They're hard to get around. So the idea that people in that situation have no way out of a totally unfair but just rigidly applied the law the way it's written, they're screwed. But the most powerful people, accused of, and then in Jeffrey Epstein's case, found guilty of disgusting transgressions of the law, it's a minor inconvenience. It's incredible. It's
Disgusting transgressions of the law, you guys. And as if the law doesn't show us examples of exactly what in the hell he's talking about. And I'm glad that he mentioned CP. Okay, because we're not even going to say the word, but CP, y'all know what that stands for, right? CP. Another one of these favorite withholds that they really would launder for you inside of those hotels. So would be great to know from you, Claire Headley, how many cases of CP ever came up while you were the RTC rep pack or the supercargo RTC? Because cases of CP were considered a major, big flap. Extreme out to D's, I believe, was the code word for CP. Extreme out to D. And how many sweetheart deals have been given to all self-admitted CP-obsessed Scientology adults going inside of those hotels? Because that would be very, very good to start understanding from you, from where you were standing as the supercargo, and from where you stand today as the president of the Aftermath Foundation. It's important that you speak on what you were doing to launder these type of literal felonies. Because today, I don't have an explanation. Not a literal single explanation that makes sense. The law states what it states. And y'all at the hotel didn't have the certificates, didn't have the knowledge, didn't have the literal care to deal with this other than make him pay $200,000, make him do an FBRD style sec check, make him tell you The literal self-admitted this, guys. Were you confused just before you had the evil purpose to be involved in this? So we would love to hear how that worked, and we would love to hear why that happened. And you too, Mike Rinder, since you sit on that board as well, from that board, speak and answer. How many Scientologists were implicating themselves and being helped to cover up, to obstruct justice, to not go see a shred of law person to deal with this, as this guy just mentioned here. So if you had no short of a clue that you were supposed to do that, this guy, this reporter that does report on situationships that happen between teenagers in schools, were come to find out they get the book thrown at them. I mean, imagine. An underage kid under the age of 21 gets the book thrown at them for this, but all they had to do was go to a hotel that Mike Rinder, Debbie Cook, Claire Headley, Shelley Miscavige, David Miscavige are running, and then all of a sudden it's not this. It's called Extreme L2D, and all of a sudden their needle floated, and all of a sudden they couldn't have been more confused to have engaged themselves in that and admitted all over the place. Because that was the drill, you guys. As soon as they admitted a little bit of this, oh, let's really go and investigate. Let's really go and clean it up. Go clean it up, Serge. Here's the questions. Here's the questions for you. Have you ever done it like this? Have you ever checked that? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? Like, we're talking lengthy pages and pages and pages of tailor-made questions, you guys. Oh, let's get very precise. L. Ron Hubbard said, really vary the question a million ways until you really clean everything. AKA full-blown incrimination. That is the name of this video. Were they incriminating? Were they laundering felonies? Yes or no? In what world was any of this a religious experience for anyone? That's what we need to understand. And that is pretty much the end of this video, you guys, which is, you know, quite a bit. It is quite a bit to digest. It is quite a bit to have to really think about. Because again, we're really wondering, how can it be that two major child trafficking rings have been operating in the state of Florida with full-blown impunity? Is what in the hell it's called when you're doing criminal acts, all full knowing, when you have the best attorneys that money can buy and retain on speed dial, the ones that are really supposed to advise you like little babies that they were, because, you know, David had no short of a clue what he was doing. He was a high school dropout. Mike Rinder did finish high school for himself. So shout out to you, Mike Rinder, for finishing high school. But that's all you had. Marty Rathbun, another dropout. So y'all were in need of real legal advisors. And if y'all are pressed about what we're complaining about today, if y'all are pressed about the points being raised today, call up Monique and ask her, why did you let us prop up this 501c, Monique? Why? We were high school dropouts, David, me, and Marty. So we didn't have a shred of a clue. You should have told us to not do it, Monique. Why didn't you tell us not to, you know, revise the auditor's code so that if a child said, no, I don't want to be here, this shit sucks, they could walk out the door and be like, okay, not for you, fine. Why didn't that happen? That's what we need to understand. Why? You want redemption? We want answers. You want to cleanse your image? Cleanse your image by coming clean. Don't expect to clean your image by continue to gaslight, by continue to really go and pitch it as this, really go and pitch it as that. Scientology is the problem, Mike Rinder, and Scientology is the problem, David Miscavige, and Scientology is the problem, Marty Rathbun, the three amigos that propped this up, the three amigos that dug L. Ron Hubbard out of his grave to go work with Monique for 10 years to get the IRS to give you what you've always wanted. Approval. Y'all could have had great careers outside of this sham 501c. Y'all could have amassed fortunes of your own. But instead, you decided to prop up L. Ron Hubbard's BS and ensnare as many kids as y'all felt like ensnaring. And then today, oh no, we were really thinking we were doing something religious. Well, religious my ass, literally. So here's the other video, you guys, that I did promise you. I know we're going long, but you know, y'all don't mind. Y'all are always checking, and shout out to all the people that hit us up on the replay. This one is going to be an interesting, you guys, because this is a video that actually was put up by PTS for Life, second gen. Shout out to PTS for Life, who is a second gen that lives in Canada, that posted this short for himself. So I just want to give you a little bit of context, because again, this video, when I saw it, I was like, this is weird AF. I don't know if this is a joke. I don't understand what's going on. Like literally, I was like, what? Like, this doesn't sound right. And the title of the short is Leah Remini Who? Scientology admits to child slaves. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I'm sure Scientology didn't literally admit to child slaves. I'm sure that, no, you guys, it's literally that. So let's take a look at that. And the context that I want you to understand, and how I was finally be able to understand how these two people were having a conversation, is they were doing what is called in Scientology the dissemination drill. So what you're going to see on the screen right now is a role play. This is how these people groom themselves to do what in the hell they do. They drill, drill, drill. L. Ron Hubbard told them, drill and drill and drill. Become me. Become L. Ron Hubbard. Do what I say. Pitch things like I do it. And this so-called disem drill is, this woman is role-playing that, you know, she might be interested in Scientology, but, you know, she heard something about Leah Remini, and then the other person purports to ask questions and want to disseminate, because remember, in Scientology, it's all about disseminate. I mean, as disgusting as that sounds, you guys, that is what in the hell they call it. When you're trying to ensnare someone in your scheme, you call it disseminating to them. So this is a drill. And I really want you guys to pay attention of how things are pitched by them. And we might have to watch it more than once, because it's kind of really short, but I just want to go through the whole drill. You guys see exactly how they say it. And then on the other side, we will discuss, you guys. We will literally discuss our opinions. But right now, just let's take it for how this is being pitched. Let's see. Here we go.
Sarah, thank you for that. Did you hear anything else about Scientology?
Well, have you heard of Leah?
Of what?
Have you heard of someone called Leah? Forget her last name. Leah Remini.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I forgot her name, but yeah, I've heard of that person. Yeah, sure. She used to be in the church. I know what you're talking about. What did you hear?
Yeah. Well, she says she's, you know, had a lot to say about all kinds of things. You take your money, you know, they you know, I think they even have like child slaves and that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we do. We got a lot of child slaves. That's true. Sarah, thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. We have a lot of child slaves. So I was like, what in the hell is going on here? Like, when I saw this, I mean, you guys can tell me in the chat if you actually can even understand what in the hell is going on, or is this as weird as it actually looks and sounds? Because going back to the point of Scientology people infantilizing themselves, okay? And again, it's like, We don't use a shred of a word to just use a shred of a word. This is called self-infantilization. They're playing a little game. They're role-playing. Okay, so the role of that woman was to pretend that you are someone that might be interested in Scientology, but you don't really know, and pretend that you've heard some black PR about Leah Remini. Okay, because Scientologists know that that's what they're going to be up against if they really want to go and disseminate to somebody. So I don't know if that makes a little bit more sense on why that woman sounds so like robotic and almost like actory, because that is what it is in Scientology. Everything is an act out this, act out that. Everything is role play. Everything is like, you know, what is it called? Like improv. You know, it's just like, okay, here's the drill. Here's the guidelines. You're the coach. You're the student. You really want to learn how to, you know, answer people's questions when you want to disseminate them. And the whole idea with this disem drill was like, if anything really horrible is said, like child slaves, L. Ron Hubbard is like, oh yeah, of course, we have a lot of child slaves. He told you to double down and triple down. Okay? So when horrible things were said about your thing, then just, oh yeah, just say, oh yeah, of course we do. So that's why the guy ends up admitting to that at the end, right? But in their deluded state of mind, they're saying, you don't know who L. Ron Hubbard is. You don't have the technology. You don't speak like a Scientologist. You are so below us. We have to come and grab you from the bottom and bring you up to where we are. Here's where all the right people are. Here's where all the homo novus are inside of these hotels. So that's why this guy was like giving her like, oh yeah, we have a child slave. He's admitting to the point, but he's like negating it to himself. So that's the cognitive dissonance part of this, right? Because the elitism that they have in their head, like, oh, of course we don't have child slaves, but of course you wouldn't understand that because of course you wouldn't know that children are not adults in small bodies. And if you don't believe that, then you will see what actually is reality as reality, and you won't see reality as we want you to see it because you haven't studied L. Ron Hubbard, the convicted, indicted felon that we are all about worshiping inside of these hotels, and that we couldn't be more confident, really had a lot of great things to really pitch. So that is the danger of the grooming, you guys. And like I said, I haven't seen many examples of these drills done in the wild. I believe this is done over like a Zoom call or something. Like maybe they were doing like a, you know, like a drill on a Zoom, you know, maybe during the pandemic or something. You know, Scientology doesn't want these grooming sessions on video, much less on the internet. You guys, this, again, Scientology cannot stand to the scrutiny. And what you just saw here, two adults practicing how they're going to lie to whoever they want to ensnare. I mean, imagine they literally groom, practice. They have to do the drill. They have to do the drill until they really are proficient. And he would have gotten a flunk. Like if I would have been his supervisor, I would have been like, flunk, you're robotic AF, flunk. You make no shred of sense because you said that you forgot Leah's name, but then you're saying that you know that she was in the church. So which one is it? So all of these things I would have had to flunk him for because I would have said like, no, you're going to get caught real quick. Like you can't get your pitch straight. So it's not a pass and you have to keep doing the drill until it really sounds smooth and you can just, you know, talk this shit and you can really just convince somebody that, you know, oh my God, you really want to try what we're doing inside of the hotel. You really, really want to try that. And, you know, yeah, Leah Remini couldn't be more out of her MF mind if she tried. That's what literal Scientologists are drilling, spending time as adults doing for themselves in that little infantile role play that they're doing. But it's a lot more nefarious than that. And with that just blank thing about, yeah, we have a lot of child slaves. It's not like this man had a conscience awakening, you guys. It's not like he did that. Scientologists are so confident that every single last person that was inside of Debbie Cook's hotels with their passports locked up was there with legal okay. And everything was very, very legal. So I think it's very important to continue to highlight who we are literally calling out. And if you see this man's attitude about children and yeah, we got a lot of child slaves, like who even says that? Who just even admits that? Even under the stupidity of this. And the fact that his coach brought up child slaves. I mean, that is what in Scientology they called, you guys, Glutz PR. That is what's called in Scientology forwarding an enemy line. Because guess what? You're not even really supposed to ever say that. The only reason that she was allowed to say it because it was in the context of a drill. And in the drill, they're role-playing, pretending to be a very SP person that really would say those things. You see what I'm saying? So they're both completely deluded AF. They're both couldn't be more implicated. They're both probably getting sessions and audits and work clearings and ethics and all manner of stuff by kids. So for all Scientology parents, as you saw with his little attitude, it couldn't be more normal to have children as your slaves. Ask Debbie Cook. For her, it was completely normal to go to Sweden and grab a couple of slaves from there, to go to Mexico and grab another slave from there, to go, to Germany and grab more slaves from there. Wherever in the hell, she was a worldwide enslaver. She was literally a full-blown worldwide enslaver. There was no place she wouldn't send people to go and get recruited minors for her. We have, people from Venezuela, as we went over on our Jane Doe that we just covered, that was brought into Debbie Cook as a minor. So let's just see it one more time so you guys can really catch the attitude, and hopefully that context of what in the hell they're talking about serves as a better foundation to start digesting this disgusting clip. Really, so disgusting. It's actually sick.
Did you hear anything else about Scientology?
Well, have you heard of Leah?
Of what?
Have you heard of someone called Leah? Forget her last name. Leah.
Oh yeah,
Remedy?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
See, it's so cheesy, guys. So, Leah, she's literally acting like she really is someone that has no shred of a clue. So the whole thing couldn't be more pathetic acting school from hell. And remember, they're doing these drills ad nauseum. This is what the courses do. What the L. Ron Hubbard courses do is all about this. Role play this, grab a doll, drill it on a doll, get a coach to pretend that they're your PC, pretend that they have a case, pretend that they're blabbing about whatever in the hell deranged thing you're asking them about. All of this is groomed through a doll. When they're talking about audits, when they're talking about dissemination stuff and things like that, they're not so pressed. But they even literally give you a doll because they told you, oh, you don't want to drill face to face because then you could start going into your case, into your real case. So we wouldn't want to do that. So as long as you put a doll here in front of you, then it couldn't be more fantasy. It couldn't be more of an infantile, degenerate, disgusting grooming session is what we know today. It was. So
I forgot her name, but yeah, I've heard of that person. Yeah, sure.
I forgot her name, but yeah, I know of that person.
She used to be in the church. I know who you're talking about. What did you hear?
Yeah. Well, she says she's, had a lot to say about all kinds of things. You take your money, I think they even have child slaves and that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we do. We got a lot of child slaves. That's true.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of child slaves. Yeah, that's true. So there you go. You guys, people role-playing drills to really sanitize the narrative, to really figure out how to ensnare somebody. So they're very, very calculated about the way they communicate. So again, with what type of straight face can people involved in these drills really come and say that they had no shred of a clue what the hell they were doing? Because that's what we're questioning on the public record today, you guys. In what real world was that they just went, you know, blah, 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 this and that? Because again, you know, what's so clear for everyone to see, the receipts that keep coming up, the delusions that these adults are really all about, as much as they have been given a full-blown free pass to worship a convicted, indicted felon, you know. And I did hear yesterday some people saying like, oh, they're devil worshipers, get out of there, whatever. They are worshiping a convicted, indicted felon. Is L. Ron Hubbard the devil? He's a convicted, indicted felon. Was Charles Manson the devil? He's a convicted, indicted felon. Was Jeffrey Epstein the devil? He's a convicted, indicted felon. That's it. That's not an opinion. That is a fact. That's why, that's the only time that the law has made a shred of sense to us, you guys. Never mind that it was France who did that. Never mind that it was them. Never mind that the FBI did raid these MFers who had plenty of kids. But the FBI was so pressed that, you know, the government's getting infiltrated. Oh no, we really cannot allow that. So for them getting their papers shuffled and for them having all manner of people inside of these hotels, the office that was there before Mike Rinder made up a new one, the GO, Mary Sue Hubbard, and all of her criminal co-conspirators, including L. Ron Hubbard, that didn't get indicted because the FBI were pussy AF. Not because they didn't have what it took to indict that disgusting man, because they were pussy AF. So if we are in this position where then Mike Rinder and Marty Rathbun and literally David Miscavige dug L. Ron Hubbard, the convicted, indicted felon by France, out of the grave to really purport that, you know, as soon as he died, he became an American-born god and he really had a lot of great ideas. Well, we're pushing back on that ridiculous narrative from hell. Given that is that false narrative what ensnared us to be part of these hotels, what ensnared every last second and third generation that's speaking out on their abuse. I speak as a third generation survivor. Everybody's got the way that they got ensnared. My parents ensnared my grandparents before I was even born. So when I was born, everybody was implicated. Everybody was ensnared up to their ears and foreheads, as if my mom shouldn't have gone to jail for me drinking paint thinner. A bunch of it to end up in the hospital because she was nowhere to be found because she was really doing the bidding of a convicted, indicted felon while I was drinking a ton of paint thinner to shh. That is what is called child neglect AF, and that should have been a felony, and my mother should have literally lost full custody of me. But that is, you know, all hindsight 2020, you guys. I should have been taken away from both my parents that were trafficking me inside of those hotels. That is what it's called when you as a parent have a child and you just dump him and then you just leave the whole day and you don't come back. Because you're doing whatever in the hell it is that you're doing. You could have been doing heroin the whole day. You could have been literally hiring hookers all day, or you could have been claiming that you're going to save the world by following the words of a convicted, indicted felon. But those 3 pitches couldn't be more irrelevant or stupid. Literally could not be any more stupid. So, given that that's how Sea Org parents were raising their kids, by neglecting them, by putting them with all manner of randoms. Literally, the executives would send the worst people to go look after the kids. The ones that, this one is so problematic. He can't do this job. He can't do that job. Okay, well, you know what? Just make him a nanny. Just send him over there. And Debbie Cook would do that, you guys. Jim Sadeko, a person that literally had self-admitted, you know what in the hell, he ended up being the CO cadets flag. Jim Sadeko. So Debbie Cook could not be more implicated. She knows of every felon that she helped. Every felon that, her heart did bleed for self-admitted felons. Debbie Cook's heart would just literally start pouring. We really want to rehabilitate you. And literally, you guys, I don't have the video pulled up here, but did y'all, and just write on the chat so I can kind of know if y'all did it or not, but did y'all see Aaron's Growing Up in Scientology video where he asked the guy about, what do you think? Should we really rehabilitate Danny Masterson, or should he, just not be rehabilitated? Oh, rehabilitate him. Why not? Rehabilitate him. Use Criminon. Rehabilitate him. That was how these people were thinking. Let's really rehabilitate self-admitted felons. Going back to the very beginning of what the title of this video is. Laundering felonies. Laundering them. Why are we calling it laundering, you guys? Because that is the only literal word that I can think of. If you ask someone, have you committed a felony for which you have not been arrested? If you have someone implicate themselves fully with time, place, form, and event, every nauseating detail, remember, there was no detail was too much. Not getting details could have your head on a pike. But asking a lot of details is what you were told to do. Ask. Many, many questions. We need all of it. We need every last detail sorted, whatever. Like, don't miss anything. Don't miss anything. That's why we were there for 5, 6, 7 hours. Okay, let's go over it again. Okay, let's really think about this other thing. Okay, is there another withhold similar to this other withhold? And the whole session, you were in this nauseating, disgusting cycle of chasing felonies for the entertainment of all the case supervisors that were watching as we were doing this. So don't think that this is just like, oh, somebody did something unhinged on the side. This is what they were watching. This is what Claire Headley was watching as the RTC rep. Right or wrong, Claire Headley? Were you having access to the looking system? And wasn't your looking system one that gave you access to all orgs, to all auditing sessions? That was the system they had for RTC. You guys, RTC is the most implicated. The most senior you go to the pyramid scheme, the more criminal you are. Just like Jesse already told us all. At the very, very top, they were all full-blown criminals that did the criminal thing, that they got told to do something criminal and they just went and did it, and everybody was doing it and we all did it and it doesn't matter. And, nobody was dialing up the attorneys except for maybe like Mike Rinder and Marty Rathbun, who really were all about talking to attorneys. But, according to Jackson Moorhead, everything they really kind of pitched to Monique was always watered down because Monique is such an idiot that she would just listen to whatever in the hell David, Marty, and Mike Rinder would tell her. Oh, no, never mind, Monique. It's all handled. It's all really good. It's all really going great now. Everything was sanitized for the attorneys, too. Because the attorneys could not be more idiots to really take the word of this client of theirs, who are pathological liars from hell. They cannot help themselves. L. Ron Hubbard told them, Whatever it takes, lie to whoever, just keep the tech working, because it doesn't work, you guys. Keep Scientology working. It doesn't work. If L. Ron Hubbard didn't have his minions propping it up and getting more people ensnared and implicated, then there would be no reason for his BS technology. Isn't that great, you guys? That there's literally no reason to pay to be dehumanized. So for all of you adults that are really pressed and butthurt that you're getting called out, even you didn't deserve to be dehumanized. Now your problem is that you consented. Your problem is that you were an adult. Your problem is that you signed all manner of contracts that Monique Yingling and the rest of her cohort attorneys put together to release them of all liability and get you fully implicated, fully saying, all knowing that you renounce all your rights, that whatever goes on in the hotel, you're fine with it, you love it. And yeah, if you do have a problem, religious arbitration will really take you somewhere, like it happened to our friend Valerie, who literally these courts just continue to. In what world was Valerie that went to the Sea Org at the same age that I went to the Sea Org, you guys? It took her until her midlife to get away. It's called Arrested Development Courts of the United States. Idiotic judges making stupid-ass idiotic decisions based not on facts, based not on due diligence, based on no common sense. Literally no common sense. All it took is for the attorneys of Scientology to lie to your face. As if you couldn't be more gullible or pathetic. Okay, well, you say that you really arbitrate religiously. Okay, you just say the word religious. I can't think about this because, you know, we want to really separate this because American bred, indicted, convicted felon L. Ron Hubbard cannot have anything questioned because then we really are joining church and state. I mean, please, you guys, how pathetic is that literally? How nonsensical. How literally nonsensical. Valerie was acquired as a child, groomed as a child, was at the literal cadet org as a child, escaped at the back of a trunk, signed all manner of legal documents, no lawyer present to tell her about her rights, only a Scientology lawyer, her not knowing what in the hell she's reading because it's all legal schmeagle. Okay, just sign it real quick here and then, yeah, you can leave. You can leave, finally. Yeah, but just sign it real quick. And yes, by the time we were ready to leave, you guys, we would have signed anything. We wanted the hell out of that disgusting dysfunction. That's all we knew. That's all we had the bandwidth to process, given that they had their foot on our necks. They literally had that foot right here. With our passport locked up, you better believe that their foot was on our necks. With them weaponizing our parents against us, those of us who had parents that were outside the Sea Org, them not wanting to do the contract like Valerie's parents, them not wanting to do the contract like my parents, like Valerie's parents, sending her back to the abusers. Oh no, you really should run out. After the daughter escapes in the trunk of a car, the father sends her back to her abusers. Go back and go get security check. Go back and do it some more. So her father couldn't be more her trafficker, just the same as my own father. The benefactors of dumping their kids that were teenagers inside of disgusting hotels run by Debbie Cook, and in Valerie's case, run first by Lori Englehart, the one that literally runs the hotel, you guys. Again, hotel. The hotel captain, the food, the room service, the maids, the events for the hotel, everything is separate. Two separate orgs, two completely different universes. This organization, Flat Crew, only has hotel activities. They don't have anything to do with the technology of L. Ron Hubbard. Nothing. They just are maids. They're just, waitresses. They're just bellboys. They're just literal hotel people. Receptionist, any type of hotel thing that you can think of, it's manned. In this case was by Lori Englehart. Who in the hell knows who it is today? But at that time it was her, and she was there for decades, just like Debbie Cook. So first by Lori Englehart, then Shelly saw her, then she said, you really should work for me and Dave. Then she was made the executive steward servicing Monique Yingling when she was there for the Lisa McPherson trial. Monique Yingling living it up, eating where the staff was eating, you guys. We saw Monique there. The only time we ever saw anybody there because, as we already know, Dave really lost it after the Lisa McPherson thing. Imagine the guilty conscience of these men that full knowing saw, that had video recordings of Lisa going nuts. Literally, they implicated themselves so much. They have no shred of plausible deniability. They should have all been indicted. All of them should have been sent to prison. And not even for what they were just doing to Lisa. For all the kids that were there as Lisa was dead. That's what should have happened to us. Oh, you're not following the law? You're video recording unhinged things? You're all watching it? You're all about it? Then you literally, instead of sending her 1 block away to a hospital, you send her 45 minutes away because they were always controlling mandated reporters. We couldn't end up at a therapist. We couldn't end up at a doctor that wasn't vetted. We couldn't end up at a dentist that wasn't vetted. We couldn't be at schools that weren't vetted. Nothing. So is that just a mistake, Mike Rinder, or is that by design? Since you were the OSA person, since you were the crisis manager of this place, since you were L. Ron Hubbard's publicist, since you came up with all manner of fake pitches to really tell everyone how L. Ron Hubbard really had a bunch of great ideas. So by all means, as the publicist of L. Ron Hubbard, defend your own record. Stop hiding underneath the skirts of David Miscavige and everyone else that you love to hide behind. Come for yourself as a 501c board member, top tier executive that you are again. By all means, set the MF record straight already. Were you not L. Ron Hubbard's publicist? Did you not pitch L. Ron Hubbard as a great person, even though you full knowing knew that he died a pathetic, disgusting drug addict in a trailer? L. Ron Hubbard was pure trailer trash, you guys. That's what in the hell it's called. Trailer trash AF is who L. Ron Hubbard was. Convicted, indicted felon. The FBI was looking for him. Servers were looking for him. All manner of people were looking for him for all the wrong reasons, I might add. Because they should have been looking for him for the crime of what happened to his own son, who literally, for all the other kids that have literally inside of those hotels or afterwards, like Benjamin, Keogh, Presley, who literally were just posted. If you haven't seen it, there's a video right there. Benjamin was having a hard time. And as much as he didn't really speak, he did literally say that Scientology messes you up. Imagine that blood is on John Travolta's hands that got Priscilla implicated in this disgusting hotel operation, which landed Lisa with babysitters at the Celebrity Center Hotel. As Lisa was having her own drug problems, and instead of sending her to someone qualified with some sort of education, they were loading her up with niacin and disgusting things as if that was going to help anything. As if that was literally going to help anything. And you, Amy Scobie, that were around when this was going around, since you are also part of the Aftermath WDC int, that you were really talking about celebrities and what was going on with Lisa. By all means, explain what was going on with her when she was a child being neglected inside of those hotels. Where Priscilla, instead of looking after her own daughter after the tragic death of her father grieving it, being traumatized AF, decided, oh, what a great idea. My daughter's already traumatized AF. Let me just re-traumatize her some more. I mean, as if Priscilla wasn't trafficked to Elvis herself, you guys. Literally. Oh, yeah, but she comes off real polished. And again, you guys, just like you saw in the drills that this man did, Priscilla gets drilled. Okay, Priscilla, say this. Okay, well, you know, you were underage when you were with Elvis. Wasn't that weird? And she just like, oh, no, it was fine. La, 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 la. It wasn't fine. You were a child. Why the hell did your parents put you off with that man? You were pawned off to him, but then you did your own thing to your daughter. How dare you? How dare you not learn? How dare you not take any conscience for yourself? How dare you cloud chase and go and be a celebrity and really rub elbows with John Travolta, because that's all it took. America's sweetheart John Travolta to ensnare you in something so disgusting that your entire family could not be more traumatized due to your stupid ass decision. And that's the tragedy of all of our Scientology families, you guys. They are all torn apart. They couldn't be more dysfunctional. They couldn't be more disgusting. They couldn't have literally been using my own grandmother to normalize me becoming a supervisor and really want to save the world, just like your grandmother, is what Debbie Cook's recruiters were telling me. Don't you just want to be like her? Utilizing the affinity, the normal love that you think you have at the time, because you are not processing any of this as being involved in a wide-ranging racketeering scheme. You think that everything is good faith. You think that all of the attorneys that they did tell you they had, because they didn't get tired of telling us, we have the best attorneys, you guys, don't you worry. We really just only hired the best of the best. Don't ever sue us, because suing is bullshit. They did tell us that. Suing is bullshit, you guys. You never want to ever be involved in anything legal, but we afford ourselves the best attorneys. So make that make sense, Mike Rinder and Marty Rathbun. Why did y'all go for such great attorneys and then tell all the kids inside the hotel that they should never sue, that they should never even think of having anything legal for all the illegal things you did, including but not limited to taking our passports, including but not limited to locking us up in a vault, Marty Rathbun. Kidnapping is what in the hell is called when you're stuck in a vault with a disgusting man like Marty Rathbun interrogating you and, you know, keeping your passport out of the vault and telling you to take his questions, take this other question, ask me this other thing. So those are the facts that need to be confronted about laundering felonies inside of these hotel chains. And all of these executives, you guys, are more than welcome to join the public record and start setting it straight and start really coming clean about what in the hell they know. Because if y'all think I know a lot, I know nothing, you guys. I was a peon at the bottom of the barrel of this BS hotel chain. Literally. So yeah, as much as everybody says, oh, so elite to be in Clearwater, guess what? The chain went like this. RTC at the very, very top. WDC over here, a little bit lower. OSA right around here, also very high. CMO right about here, also really high. Then it was the FSO, but at the top of the FSO is Debbie Cook. And then it was Debbie Cook's assistant. And then there was Debbie Cook's deputy. And then it was Debbie Cook's deputy. And then it was all the division heads. And there was all the department heads. And then it was your IC, you're in charge. And there I was here thinking that I really was a very important person inside of these hotels. Because I really did at the time think, oh my God, I'm so important. Everyone tells me I'm such a prodigy. Don't I do the interrogations better than anyone else? Claire Headley. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw this, that I just thought about this, but Tony Ortega did publish something about me where he got Claire to get on the record. Let me just pull it up real quick to see Let me see if I can find it. If not, we'll do another video, you guys. But anyways, we'll do another video about that. But the nutshell is that Claire Headley was talking about how, yep, David went and told everyone at Gold what a great, amazing golden boy I was, because I was doing the interrogation so good and I was asking the questions so well and I was using their bullshit machine so wonderfully. But I wasn't the only golden child, Claire, was I? Because you were a lot more golden than I. I was at the bottom of the barrel while you were out here hanging with David and Shelley. I was not hanging with David or Shelley. I was a pathetic peon over here. I had to call you sir. I had to call you Mr. Headley. I had to call you all of that stuff that you already know. You were right there at the golden age of tech, right when I was being RPF'd. I'm sure I was the talk of all your little clique friends. Angie Trent, Sue Gentry, and all the other trainees that you were training with at the golden age of tech. Oh yeah, we're RTC, you guys. We couldn't be more official, wearing our disgusting, pathetic clown military uniforms to really purport that we know what in the hell we're doing. Right, Claire? And there you are, sending a literal child underage to the RPF. You didn't send me. Angie Trent did. And plenty of your little buddies were taking turns with me, interrogating me before I landed in that disgusting RPF, twinned with a disgusting pedophile that your friend Marty Rathbun had sent there, all full knowing. So write a little letter to Marty Rathbun if you don't know who Marcus Ginter is, because you might have not known because you weren't at the FSO. It's true. Claire was only there for a bit, you guys, and then she was sent off to California. And then I heard all manner of things from people that were being sent to the RPF across state lines from California to land over to Florida across state lines, including but not limited to people that had gone out to D in California would be sent across state lines to LA. Remember Lorianne Isaacson, Claire? You weren't an RTC rep then, but you know, she was sent from Gold all the way to Florida at Debbie Cook's whole RPF. So again, you were the third in command. Your own words, Claire. You are the top of the Aftermath Foundation. And why is your public record so abysmal when it comes to calling out what you would know firsthand would need to be called out, including but not limited to what we just asked you about today that did come up? This, a new one. How much CP was being discussed in OT eligibilities? OT eligibilities where y'all went all the way to really interrogate. I mean, before they let you find out about CNU, they really needed to find out everything about you, every single last shred of thing. So are we saying that every last Scientologist had this aberration? Absolutely not, you guys. We're just saying that everybody who did ended up getting a pass by Claire Headley, by Marty Rathbun, by Mike Rinder, by Kathy True, by Sue Gentry, by Angie Trent, by Ricky Jensen, by everyone that was populated at the very top of the pyramid scheme. While David is hanging out over here with Tom Cruise, going in a little, excursion of a little like jet ski, he has minions doing the very, very dirty work. Because that's how David worked. He would get his hands dirty throwing Mike Rinder into a tree in the middle of the night. But, he always wanted to have distance. He didn't really have a lot of interactions with anybody because he was so high and mighty that we were such peons that he would never have a shred of time or patience for us. He did go around the org and do inspections, but it was always flash inspections. It was always like, oh, he came in, he left. And everybody, huge entourage of people watching and recording and transcribing. That's why Eat Predators, you guys, literally with the microphone I mean, in what world is Eat Predators asking better questions than you, Claire Headley, since you were a sec checker yourself? In what world is Eat Predators asking Dave, oh, do you not want to produce Shelly because she was writing down everything you wrote? Because she was recording everything you wrote. Alexa from Eat Predators asked extremely good questions that you're nowhere on the public record asking for yourself. So why are you not asking those questions? Why are you doing series after series after series of Shelly and pitching her as a full-blown victim as if she wasn't the one approving all the RPF CSWs, Claire Headley? Because get on the record on that as well. Since you would know who approved my CSW, Claire Headley. Who? Who was the last person to see all the evidence that I had to put on a banker's box to convince y'all that I had really rehabilitated myself, that I really got something out of the program, as y'all were having us do disgusting questionnaires? Do you have an evil purpose against RTC? Regarding RTC execs, do you have an evil purpose? Regarding RTC execs, do you want to commit an overt? That was the final assessment to leave the disgusting RPF, to leave the hole, you guys, where I was twin with a self-admitted pedophile that I did get rid of at the end. I got another twin. I got reassigned by sheer God intervention so I could get the hell out of that disgusting thing. But there's plenty of things that need to be contextualized of all the laundering of felonies that has been allowed to happen by all of the executives that full knowing know what in the hell was going on, because y'all were the slave masters. It's called y'all were the prison guards, having oversight, having knowledge, and observing it all for your damn selves. Y'all had the power. Y'all were not fawns. So as much as you pitch yourself, oh, I was just a little fun. I was just a little fun. I was just like, oh, David is yelling. I'm going to just paralyze myself. No, sir. Pyramid here. This, slave masters, executives, slave masters. Y'all had slaves underneath you. Why did you want everyone to call you sir? Why did you want everyone to call you Mr., your last name? Because you were a slave master. So if you don't like that description, Claire Headley, I suggest you write a letter to Shelly and Dave and ask why they put you under their literal wing and groom you to become that unhinged, disgusting executive you were willing to be for them. And yes, we know you got there at 4 years old, but you know what? You didn't leave until you were 30 plus. Some of us left before in our early 20s, wanted nothing to do with the disgusting scheme that we were scammed to be a part of. And you even had an FBI investigation. You even literally had one open for yourself. Where was information shared about what you did? Not what everyone else did to you, what you did. Because everything in your lawsuit was, I was abused, I was this, I was that, I was that. And given you were the third in command, it's impossible to really purport that you were just Little Miss Sunshine that has no implication, that didn't make any unhinged orders, that didn't do any of the disgusting bidding you were being expected to literally do. So yeah, you can blame it all on Dave and Shelly, whoever your senior was. Start writing a letter to them, but then also start coming clean on what you did as a 30-year-old woman, as a 29-year-old woman, as a 28-year-old woman, as a 27-year-old woman, as a 26-year-old woman, as a 25-year-old woman, as a 24-year-old woman, as a 23-year-old woman, as a 22-year-old woman. 21 and under, who cares? Who in the literal hell cares? You were a child being groomed to be used in the most disgusting ways. Well, guess what? Even people that are traffickers, even kids that are trafficked, that become part of the racketeering scheme, see legal repercussions when they are involved in perpetuating and conspiring to do felonies. That is what in the hell is called in the real physical universe with the real physical definitions of what y'all were doing. And if you want, call Mike Rinder, since he does know a lot about the law, funny enough. Mike Rinder knows all manner of stuff about how the laws work, how they operate, what's legal, what's illegal, how does it work on civil trials, how does it work on criminal trials, how does it work on everything. He's not a cult kid that has no idea about what anything. He took it upon himself to, you know, really come up with a mastermind plan with his little friend Davey and Marty. You can blame it on them too, by the way. You can literally call Mike Rinder and ask him why did he lie to Monique and why did they prop up this fake 501c? Because guess what? Had they not done that by 1993, guess what? You would have never been an RTC rep. You would have never been in charge of nothing. And you literally would have been living your life in whatever way you were going to be living your life. Just like me, just like Laura, just like Jenna, just like all of us kids. But none of us kids ended up being RTC reps. None of us did. We were peons. We were stepped on. We were spat on. We were commoditized. We have no shred of power inside of the MF hotels. And y'all had a ton of power inside of the MF hotels. That is what in the hell is being called out. Y'all's power. Because it wasn't a delusion and it wasn't all Dave had power. Because as you would know, Claire, Simon Boulevard policy from L. Ron Hubbard, distribute the power. Distribute it to here, distribute it to there, distribute it to there. That's what is in the literal policy. So that's why this is very, very troubling for you. Because yes, Dave is here at the top. But guess who's here? All his deputies. All the ones that can speak as if they are Dave themselves whenever they show up to a courtroom, whenever they show up to do an inspection, whenever they are reading self-admitted this. And oh, I'm RTC. Let me look at that. Oh, I have a lot of rank here. Look at my bars. Look, I couldn't be more official. I couldn't be more the person that really knows what in the hell I'm doing. So by all means, repudiate it already and start coming clean. And go back to the FBI Crimes Against Children unit this time and literally just tell them, now need to speak on what I did. Immunize me. I don't want more kids to suffer. You know they're all suffering there. So what in the hell are you waiting for? You are the top of a foundation that you literally were super pressed to really be the very top. So now as the top of that foundation, by all means, start literally making amends, literally saving those kids that only your testimony could literally help. My testimony is useless. I couldn't be more considered pathetic and useless by all the people that I've spoken to. But y'all that are the big executives have been given all manner of red carpet treatments, and we really want to hear from you since you were so close to Dave. Let's really find out. So use that connection to actually get something accomplished that isn't self-serving, that isn't for you. Because that's not amends. And you would know that. You would know that from years of running ethics on others. As if L. Ron Hubbard didn't even teach you that. Amends is to really make up the damage, you guys. Guess what? In Scientology, they would never let you complete anything if it was to help yourself. If you were helping yourself through the amends, like you couldn't say, oh, I went up to clear. That's my amends. You helped yourself? That's not going to repair any damage. You're helping yourself. Like, how's that going to repair any damage? So, same concept, common sense concept applies today, but now about the kids. Now about your actual amends. that are nowhere to be found on the public record, because opening and closing your mouth doesn't count, because you monetizing doesn't count, because you making it about yourself doesn't count, because you not advocating on behalf of who you know firsthand are the most vulnerable. And it isn't Shelley who's the most vulnerable, and you would know that. You had first-hand information that none of us had, peons at the bottom of the barrel. We still know a lot. We still know a lot. Unlucky for y'all. We still got literally plastered at the front row of this dysfunction that we didn't ask to be a part of. And if you want to say, well, Serge, I didn't ask to be a part of either. Well, great. Then go and complain to Debbie and David and Shelley. Go and complain to them. And complain about what else did they have you do? What else were you all doing in the RTC Rep Network? Stop covering for them. Stop covering for the criminal activities that Jesse Prince already outed you were a part of. Or what? Was it only when Jesse was there that everybody was criminal, and then afterwards you really had a change of heart and all of the RTCers really wanted to help the world? You and Ann Rathbun wanted to help the world? Unhinged as y'all were, having meetings on the most disgusting things, having no boundaries about what information came your way because you couldn't have been more the top of the food chain. That is what made you feel that you were like, oh my God, I'm so important because I'm getting the skinny, the undiluted skinny, the very, very most disgusting stuff came to you. It sucks to be you. It really does suck. I wouldn't wish anything like this on my worst enemy. But now do something about it, because every single other person that has come off of RTC is on a payment check to shut the F up. Every single person that is coming off RTC has no shred of spine to be found anywhere in their body. They're all just grifting away at the chance to shut the F up, as if there hasn't been a bunch of executives that have left the hotels, you guys, but now Scientology has really come up with the trick to pay them monthly so they all shut the F up and they can all just stay under control. Oh, you don't want to be part of the hotel? Okay, that's fine. But, sign all these papers and we're just going to continue paying you. No worries. That's fine. Leave, but don't talk because, the payment will stop. You utter a word, you put something on a blog, then no more payments for you, no more checks. So that's why Marty Rathbun and Debbie Cook are cashing and living it up. And you are not cashing that. So credit when credit is due. You have not given a payment for yourself. The problem is that you've got a lot more information and a lot more responsibility to be taking and a lot of more things to be advocating for that you would know what those are. You literally know. So by all means, go to all your connections, all the executives. You weren't the only one. None of this is the fault of one single person, you guys. They're all implicated. They're all in the same bubble of complicity because that's how this pyramid scheme worked. For crying out loud. I mean, it's literally how it worked. It's literally here, the ones that observed it, that saw it, that checked it, that, allowed these people to monetize as they were incriminating themselves over disgusting things done to kids. That were all about locking up the passports, that were all implicated because they were literally at that top of the food chain. If you were ethics for RTC, did you lock up any passports for any of the RTC people, Claire? Was that your job? Or not? Because Annalisa Scapini, that was down here with me, the chief staff MAA, another peon that was a nobody, she was all about locking up the passports. So I can't imagine if Annalisa was so pressed to lock up passports down here, complicit with Debbie Cook. And you too, Ray Jeffrey, that are sitting in the Aftermath Foundation. You all know manner of stuff, all kind of conversations we had about Debbie Cook, you and I. But you know what? She's cashing checks. And the kids she screwed over are cashing nothing. So your little client could not have been more of a liar and a pathetic person that you really came to the rescue for. Well, congratulations. Congratulations for that. Because in what world are all of these attorneys really saying that they're helping anybody but their damn selves, or disgusting people that were in the business of trafficking kids at scale? So if you don't want to be called out, Jeffrey, then tell us by all means, how did it feel to defend a literal Ghislaine Maxwell on steroids? Or did Debbie Cook also fool you? You know, since Marty Rathbun fooled you, then maybe also Debbie Cook fooled you. And you're just a bunch of fools that don't know how to literally pull a string, that will literally hear whatever in the hell comes out of these people's mouth, and you just take it at good, full-blown faith. Well, your law licenses are on the line when you are applying the law. As if your very own client didn't go on the stand there and talk about, I would have signed that I killed babies and loved it. And then y'all just got lucky that Scientology went, oh, never mind, let's really pay her off. Okay, Debbie Cook, here's your payment program. As if that wasn't her entire intention. By the way, go look at your client talking to ABC. I loved it in the hotel. I was 17 years there. I was so high ranking. I was so respected. I was so great. I was so wonderful. David put me in a trash can, and then I was like, this is enough. And then I got $100,000 from them. And then that ran out. And then 4 years later, I wrote a little email that was very self-serving that everybody bought the pitch of like, oh, look at Debbie Cook really wanting to, stop adults from being told to send money to buy buildings. Imagine you're Debbie Cook and you literally take it upon yourself to traffic kids on a weekly basis. That's what Debbie Cook was doing. Ray Jeffrey, if that's news to you, then that's news to you. Another one of these attorneys that doesn't do a shred of due diligence on their clients that they're going to be defending. If you don't have the instinct to see and to connect the dots of when a client is lying to you, then it sucks to be you. It really does suck to be you. We didn't have that type of choice when we were working for Debbie Cook ourselves. When we were fake deposing people, we didn't have that choice. She didn't give us that choice. If we were lied to, our heads would put on pikes. And we had no shred of education. You have a full-blown law degree yourself. But you know what? You had no interest in knowing anything that Debbie Cook did, anything that Marty Rathbun did. In fact, you did have interest, but you didn't give it a shred of an F past that. So congratulations for being one of the first attorneys that ever heard of all of the disgusting things that we're doing. And you know what? Sucks to be you. Better luck next lifetime. Yeah, it does suck to be us. You're right about that. It does suck to be us to have been given no rights from birth, to have had our passports confiscated by your client that you really did secure that little deal for your both selves. I don't know how much money you got out of that, but I'm sure you got something, and you should have, because Marty Rathbun really did screw you. But that's what attorneys get for not knowing how to investigate. That's what attorneys get for not knowing how to pull strings. That's what attorneys deserve for having defended such indefensible, disgusting maniacs that did take it upon themselves to roleplay L. Ron Hubbard extremely serious. So by all means, Peaches, that, but Debbie Cook had the right to do whatever in the hell she wanted, Serge, because it couldn't have been more of a legit 501c. And your passport, it was completely locked up because, Debbie Cook really could do that because, she was a really high-ranking executive there, and she really wanted to do what was best for herself. So there, you guys. They all are implicated. They're all getting called out because the facts are the facts. The facts are the facts. So why are we sitting here when nothing has changed? Because the facts don't get confronted, because the facts get whitewashed, because all manner of people want to play dumb as long as they can possibly can to guard an image of something they were never, ever themselves. Religious workers that are going to help the world and save it is everything these people aren't, you guys. And that's by their own actions. Again, Debbie Cook, don't get pressed. Oh, Serge, you're so mean. In what world did you traffic as many kids as you have? And you're still just cashing pathetic checks. Blood money on the backs of more kids, Debbie Cook. That's your ethics change. That's your definition of ethics change, Debbie Cook. Interesting. Very, very interesting that that is what you consider ethics change. So here we go, guys. Let's see some of your comments. Hello, Nathaniel and Cindy. I don't know if you guys are still here. Shout out to our wonderful moderators, Joe and Case in the house, that are always answering questions and keeping our chat on point, you guys. Shout out to them. Thank you so much for all of y'all's help. I did see a few questions and I'm trying to see. Teres, this is sick that they take passports away. I feel like it's a human right to keep access to passports at all times, especially if you are in another country. Yes, Teres. Like, we had no idea until very recently that that was even a felony. Like literally recently. I mean, in what world were we gonna really think that our passports, I mean, just to give you more context, Teres, they told us it was a valuable document. So they lied to us. They gave us an L1 Harvard pitch that, as naive, gullible kids that we're like, okay, valuable document. Okay, you should have it. Okay, well, I'm not allowed to leave. You already told me it's illegal for me to even leave the hotel without permission, without a CSW, without you literally saying I can do it. So and here's a comment from Joe. Criminals aren't off the hook just because they've decided not to support their all criminality anymore. That is right, you guys. That is how the law works. That is how the law literally works. If you are involved in a wide-ranging racketeering scheme, trafficking minors at an industrial size scale, as much as the Tampa Bay Times pitches this at a church hotel, no. That's not what it's called. And, you know, walking out of a threshold of a hotel doesn't mean you've taken a shred of accountability. Yes, in hindsight now, these people leave the hotel and know everybody in the hotel is supposed to incriminate themselves against their Fifth Amendment right. When you leave, you don't have to incriminate yourself. It's up to you to really go to these offices and see if you can cut deals to immunize yourself so that the proper things get done if you had a shred of conscience as to what you did. But if you're still very pressed and stuck on David did it all, and I had no shred of a clue about anything, then nothing happens whatsoever. And no kid has had literally a shred of advocacy in all of the stuff of Scientology, you guys. Literally, we've had so many years for this to change, so many years for this to get called out, so many years for this to come to the forefront. In Scientology, you guys, when you're doing an investigation, just let's go back to those terms because these executives are going to love them. It's called an altered importance. Okay, so remember that one? Executives of Scientology, Mike Rinder, Debbie Cook, Rathbun, Claire, Angie Blankenship, Osa, all of y'all. It's called an altered importance. Y'all are hurting kids. Who gives a shred of an F if you're hurting adults, if you're hurting kids? So stop hurting the kids and then go and figure out what in the hell all of you adults are doing to each other. But first, stop hurting the kids. First. Don't make this about yourself. Don't tell us your tragic. I don't give a shred of an F what in the hell you, as a full-blown consenting adult that read the pitches, that saw the books, that signed the check sheets, that got all involved, that gave your kids to this, miss us. That's what in the hell is called a pattern, you guys. Like, that's why in the law, they don't really care too much when you go like this. They just go, oh, look, you did it here. And you did it here, and you continue doing it here, and you did it here, and you did it for a full-blown decade. Okay. So you violated the law for a whole full decade. Gotcha. So that's a pattern of criminality and felonies and conspiracies and racketeering. So we don't give a shred of an F that you said you didn't mean it. You know, Charles Manson told me. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard told me. So again, for all of you executives that haven't gone through what the Charles Manson people did go through, remember, choice came at a horrific cost. You always had a choice when you were a grown-ass adult. And if you want to purport that you didn't, and because you were so brainwashed and you didn't have a shred of a clue, then go talk to the Charles Manson people and see if they had a shred of a clue about sticking a knife on somebody. Because if they didn't have a shred of a clue about sticking a knife on somebody and having a repercussion happen to that person, y'all can do the same thing, that little same drill and exercise, now turned it into kids. If you decided that these audits, if you decided that kidnapping, locking kids against their will inside rooms where you were going to watch them, record them, have people like myself interrogating them, literally egging me on, ask this question, Serge, ask something more disgusting, go there, really check it. It just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up at all, you guys. And then this is, first they yell in your face endlessly, shouting obscenities, tell you that you're degraded and worthless, and then they assign you a condition of enemy, treason, and liability. And Case in the House is talking about the context of the ethics, you guys. The ethics that they sell at the hotel is exactly what she does describe here. Degrading, yelling, obscene, sadistic abuse. Power trips AF. Power trips AF. If you were in a position of power as a Scientologist, you are literally deranged. You're literally just blabbing away. Hi, Audit LA. Glad to see you here. Let's hop on a call quickly soon, if you're still here. And many kids in the state care go missing in Florida. Yeah. Florida is literally out of control, you guys. Literally. Why are they so willing to forgive the very people who did this to them and their children and support their YouTube channels? I mean, you guys, I think I saw something here that I did post on the community tab that I think, you know, as we're on this mission to reconcile all this truth, this really kind of like stuck up for me. And this is from Dr. Glenn Patrick Doyle. Trying to explain the experience of complex trauma from the inside can be like, my memories are hazy, except when they are crystal fucking clear. I feel virtually nothing except when I feel every fucking thing. I hate my abuser except when I seem to love my abuser. If you know, you know. So we would know that all of this has been part of our complex trauma, trying to dig ourselves out of the grave of having been left as roadkill on the side of the street with no one giving a shred of an F, betrayed, made to go blind from so much of the betrayal that was perpetrated, exploiting our gullibility and our naivete. Except today we're not gullible or naive. And, you know, We're not here to tell anyone who they need to forget or not, because that's not our job and that's not our purpose and that's not our intention. We're here to get the facts exposed. We're not here to cradle and canoodle nobody. The facts are getting exposed. Everything is getting called out. Everything and anything. Because kids are implicated in this white criminal racketeering scheme. Being enabled in the state of Florida, being cradled and canoodled in the state of Florida, just like they did with Ghislaine and Jeffrey. So Florida, that also has a pattern of really being completely incapable of doing anything. So again, it's like it's a much bigger problem, and it's not a personality problem, and this ain't personal whatsoever. Except with Debbie Cook. With Debbie Cook is very, very personal. Very, very personal. You and I, Debbie Cook, have unfinished business AF. And since you were my child trafficker, you are the one that I have unfinished business with. Everyone else is just context. I barely had anything to do with them. But they are going to get contextualized, because why are they not contextualizing themselves is what in the hell we're asking. Because again, why are kids still being recruited into these hotels, you guys? And we're going to the testing center and seeing that they're still at it. So it's not like, oh, Serge, relax, everything's fine now. No minors are ever brought into the hotels. No minors are ever audited. No minors are ever given ethics handlings. No minors are ever told by their parents that they're degraded, disgusting beings. No minors are literally told that they're adults, that, you know, these adults told us that they knew us from another lifetime, and, you know, and started to be 2D flowing us and embellish it all in these words that didn't sound like they were grooming us to be abused, but they were grooming us to be abused, you guys. This, my first abuser groomed me with those words. We know each other from another lifetime, Serge. I feel a really strong connection. I have so much ARC. It's all it took. That and a lot of daddy issues from being neglected AF by my dad. This was the first man that showed interest, and it's disgusting that I was left there in that hotel to be abused by one of Debbie Cook's literal recruiters. So that's on you again, Debbie Cook. And so is the death of my grandmother. You literally have blood in your hands of my entire family. Willie Weed, most bring their kids in after they learn to brainwash themselves. Yeah, you guys, and that's a good point, Willie, but I'm also like, this word brainwash is such a cop-out, and it's so overused, I feel. It's indoctrination, it's grooming. It's grooming that is done. And the term brainwash seems to be something that you didn't agree with. So, you know, the brainwash, it's not like something was forced down their throats. That's not how people that were doing those courses were. People that were there purported to want to be there, purported to want to do the course. Yes, they were scammed. Yes, they were told they were going to help the whole world. And isn't it incredible that you're doing a 2-week course inside of a hotel that all of a sudden you're going to practice medicine without a license? But, you know, I'm just like, I'm trying to really understand what words we're really using to describe what it is, because so much of it becomes this, like, you know, if you're brainwashed, then it's sort of like, you know, the Charles Manson people were brainwashed, but were they brainwashed or were they groomed? They were given this bullshit story, helter skelter, this means something, that means something, go and commit a crime for me. And it's like, you know, it's not like they grabbed soap and bubbles and put it in their head and then all of a sudden they were doing that. Like there was a process of choice. And again, going back to the words of the Manson woman that spent her entire life in jail. You know, at the beginning, and you can see that for yourselves, you guys, the footage of the Manson girls, when they were being brought to the court, they were just laughing it up. They were just acting all deranged and unhinged. That ended when they were locked up, just like it's happening to Danny Masterson right about now. So that is the path of a felon and a criminal. When they're doing it, they don't give a shred of an F because they're entitled and empowered to be doing it. Just like Ghislaine. I'm sure Ghislaine now wants to be like, oh, was she brainwashed? Was Ghislaine brainwashed? Like, she was a child trafficker. She knew what in the hell she was doing. She was bringing girls to be trafficked. Debbie Cook knew even more what in the hell she was doing. She was locking up the passports. She had access to counsel, you guys. Debbie Cook could call lawyers if she wanted to. Debbie Cook was the top bitch, the top boss, the total power of the entire hotel, of the mecca, of the biggest, whatever. That's why she's implicated the worst. That's why David, micromanaged her. David was over here, David was over there. But you know who was there in that hotel day in and day out, barking orders to get her more minors every week? Debbie MF Cook. That's who. I'm happy to be able to be as healthy as I am and speak about this. Yeah, you guys, it's part of our healing to be able to speak after we've been muscled and muscled and muscled. And Pam, Serge, I'm sorry, my heart goes out to you and the kids that experience similar things, sending lots of universal love. Well, thank you, Pam. I really appreciate that. And so do all the kids that are watching our videos, you guys. Like, they all need to be told that they didn't deserve what in the hell was done to them. And they all have been being told ad nauseum that, you know, everybody was brainwashed. So, oh, well, better luck next lifetime. It's like, no. I mean, I know that's not what you were saying, Willie, but I'm just saying, like, that's what we keep hearing. It's like, oh, brainwashed. Oh, they were in a cult. All of these excuses that, you know, the same adults have used to feel better about themselves and to, you know, not deal with their complex trauma. No one's saying that adults implicating themselves in this disgusting scheme, you guys, are not traumatized. But I'm sure we can make the same case for all of the adults, including Bill Clinton, that got involved with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, but we don't give a shred of an F what type of childhood problem or brainwashing Bill Clinton was implicated with if he's being called out for being a witness of abuse of minors. Because Bill Clinton has even more stuff that we need to talk about in terms of how he aided Scientology from existing, as if little John Travolta didn't also grease those wheels. So John Travolta is not American sweetheart, you guys. Breaking news, John Travolta is a disgusting recruiter for these disgusting hotels. And just with those two facts, John Travolta went after Bill Clinton to really help him with stuff in Scientology. John Travolta went after Lisa Marie Presley's mom to really implicate Lisa in the disgusting stuff that he was so into. So you know what, John Travolta? If you loved it so much, then why the hell did you implicate another child? Lisa didn't like it. No child that got exposed to this liked it whatsoever. I fully accept that the stories that come out of Scientology are fully true, and I also believe the facts of these stories are underreported. I'm sure it's way, way worse. Yeah, it is. That's exactly right. They're all underreported because the corporate media couldn't be more purposely glib when it comes to reporting these matters, you guys. Under this whole facade that, oh, we wouldn't want to falsely, you know, implicate anyone. Well, go and do y'all's job already. Go inside the hotel for yourselves. Tell us there's no minors there. Tell us that no passports were ever confiscated. Tell us that we could literally leave whenever in the hell we wanted to if we were being locked up in a session. Because that's what happens, Teres. The corporate media is the image laundering service of these hotels. It's because of them that these hotels haven't received a shred of scrutiny, because apparently all it takes is for the media to be, you know, boogeyman, then all of a sudden, oh no, that's so scary to write about Scientology, right, Thomas C. Tobin? Couldn't be more scared to really do any stories about that with any real substance. Your literal entire newspaper sat there while all manner of kids have been implicated in this wide-ranging racketeering scheme that you are unwilling to call out because you are unwilling to put a shred of skin in the game. The TikTokers and the YouTubers that are outside those centers have more skin in the game, have done more to spend time actually with eyeballs inside these places than you. Imagine how sick you can be. Because how much money have you made off of all the Scientology stories you've been pitching? That'd be a very good question to ask yourselves. And then see how much money versus how many kids you've helped. Because so far, we're counting nothing. You've helped nobody but your damn selves. Cindy, I think Sterling is afraid of people will feel anger towards his parents. Then that will reflect on him. Plus, it's too gross to look at. That's what happened with me and my family. Well, yeah, that's a good point, Cindy. And that's fine. I mean, you know, we said what we said. And his parents couldn't have been more at that top of this pyramid scheme, you guys. Literally, his whole entire family's implicated. Dave is here. Shelly's here. Biddy Miscavige was here, WDC. And then RTC as well. Ronnie Miscavige was also RTC. So they're here at the very, very top of the food chain. Implicated AF. Both of his parents, all of his parents are there, you know? And yeah, it sucks that those parents made those decisions for themselves. It really does suck, but that's on them. That's not on anybody else. And again, you want to have a relationship with your parents? Have it in whatever way it works for you. No one's here to tell you how to have that relationship. No one's here to tell you how to speak about these things. No one's telling you that you should be calling out anybody that you don't feel like calling out or you don't feel like they deserve. Decide for your damn self what in the hell you want to speak about. But don't whitewash anyone else's experience. That's the only message to give anybody that's a survivor of this type of, you know, systemic institutionalized trauma. You guys, like all of our families are implicated. It wasn't easy for me to call my parents traffickers. It took me a very, very long time to really come to terms with that. It took me a very, very long time. It was not the first word that I thought. You know, I sat on the sidelines thinking, yeah, one day they'll wake up. One day, la la la, one da 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 da. And then, you know, we had to do the work, the trauma work, because, you know, for some of us, it wasn't optional. Like there's no off switch for the level of intense, disgusting trauma we were exposed to with all of these executives having been the perpetrators and the predators of our youth, literally. I wonder if the illegal immigrants coming over get scooped up by COS to replace their staff shortages. I mean, not really Scooby-Doo, but it's like, you know, seeing that case of the Salvadorian girl on the street the other day, knowing what we know about El Salvador being such a country that, you know, it's like they have so much immigration because people are desperate to get out of there. So definitely they get honeyed, they get incentivized, they get lured to get this like very, very special thing, like Sebastian too, right? Like he was in Colombia. So all of these foreigners really want to come and get a visa through this thing. We had a lot of Hungarians, guys, that would come, do 5 years at the hotel, and those Hungarians would disappear. Like, I don't know what it was about the Hungarians. I guess they were like, you know, used to growing in the Soviet Union. So they were sort of like, they would sort of really fit in. They were always used for security for some reason too, by the way. Like all the Hungarians were always like security guards. But they would do like 5 years in security and then blow and leave and have a green card and then bye-bye. They wouldn't really stick around for decades and decades. Growing up, I was told children were not to be seen, were to be seen, not heard. We better be quiet. Cinderly Wahi. So I'm guessing that was your experience. I don't know if it was in Scientology or where you grew up, but pretty much how we experience our growing up too. You know, we were there mostly to be tokenized, to be used by the executives to do whatever in the hell they wanted us to do. Serge, I understand your thoughts about Sinu, but for a never ends perspective, that story helps grab our attention. Don't let me get it wrong. Diddling kids gets our attention, but we already know that one. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying that we can't talk or contextualize the Sinu story, you guys. Like, literally, yeah, the Sinu story is fine. It's just that, you know, a lot of sort of he, ha, ha, ha is done through that. And then everybody stays very glib on that subject because it's very easy to make fun of something so ridiculous and stupid. And it's not easy to have the conversations we're having. So, of course, yeah, we can bring Sinu and it's been brought up and who cares? I get it. I totally understand that. Oh, and this is here. What happens in reality in our lives, not to the same extent, but it's still happening. The Sinu story is so insane that it gets us to pay attention longer than 15 seconds. And it's so sad that, you know, the PEDOS are the ones that covered. Yeah. Well, again, you guys, from the perspective of altered importances, yes, you know, Sinu has no importance or merit because what I've said continuously is the minute that Sinu gets brought up, people go, well, then it could be not more religious because, you know, people believe that the Virgin Mary was a virgin when she had a child. So that's also crazy. And Sinu's crazy. The Virgin Mary story's crazy. And, you know, this one is, but it's not like that. And that's what they did to purport that they were a religion. Oh, we have a crazy story just like everyone else. And the story couldn't be more pathetic and made up to literally confuse and literally get people entangled in this idea of, are you an adult that can really have an opinion about someone being in a hotel like this, right? And are you allowed to tell an American, oh, you can't believe that, you can't believe this? Can you tell an adult that wants to believe it that they cannot believe it? I mean, I don't see how that works. So that's all. I think that's kind of more of what I'm talking about, but yeah. Serge, could you talk to William in more detail about child SA and child slavery? I don't think he fully understands the severity of it and the number of children. Yeah, good point, Cindy. I mean, I think, you know, it's hard, you guys, because, you know, it's like we don't want to overwhelm it or make it all about ourselves. And, you know, they're having their own advocacy there and we want to be respectful. So I'm more of like, if I'm asked the questions, then I'll answer it. Because, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm pitching or telling them this or that. It's like, these are the things I'm advocating for because they matter to me. And the kids there are the ones that are asking me all these questions. So I'm more just answering questions, but I'm sure it'll come around. You know, it's like every day that we're going there, a little bit more advocacy is done, more receipts are found out. And I definitely tell you guys, I mean, I don't know if you saw my video yesterday, but Jessica Palmedesa was like, this girl needs to go to jail. You know, they're not more like save Sebastian. It's like, this person needs to go to jail. They're making false calls to the LAPD. Like if we did it, we would be in jail. Like if I just go, hi LAPD, there's a fire here and there's literally nothing. And they come and they're like, okay, where's the fire? What happened? Oh, no, just, I mean, I think I heard someone that wanted to start one and I think I was very afraid. Okay, well, do you have footage of that? No, I don't. Do you have any receipts? No, I don't. Okay, fine. Maybe once. But then, oh, again, BOMB, we really are threatened by something. Where? Oh, no, but we just thought, you know, it's really kind of like that. So I think if William really knew Serge's story, he would yell it from the rooftops. Well, yes, Cindy. I mean, he's going. I've definitely seen his rhetoric has scaled up. And again, it's like I tell you, like the more those kids are there, the more their advocacy. At first it was more sort of like a freak show. I feel like someone's like, oh, look at this, like, oh, they're bringing people, ha ha ha, he, and that's fine. It's like there is an entertainment factor to all of it. I get that, but the great thing about being able to like advocate with all of everyone that's there, especially like, when Laura and I go there, it's like people ask us questions and then we can answer the questions from our experience and advocate from the heart. And that is what it means to us, power to survivors. We're exercising our power there by stating the facts and the truth. And, we don't need to convince anybody about what to care about because everyone can do their own research too, right? I think that everybody can grab whatever part of the situation is that they're most interested in and go with that. And I think that these kids, see the problem and see themselves in us to a degree, knowing what other kids are being put through, knowing that they are targeting kids. So that was very alarming for them to see that. So John Beatty Butt. Come clean equals stop talking about this stuff that doesn't matter until the crimes and child slavery is ended. Correct. I mean, we've also made a very clear ask, you guys. Every single person entering those hotels should be carded 21 and up. Very simple. You can't drink. You cannot go inside of those hotels. You can't drink. You cannot be signing binding contracts that you don't know what in the hell mean. So all 21 and out need to really leave. That's the sense that I keep getting from Aaron's Clearwater walkabouts. Nothing looks real. Empty streets, empty buildings, people literally hiding. It's all crazy. Yeah, not that Helen. And very much like they did with us with Elisa McPherson, you guys. Like Scientology, and again, they do it at the center too, right? It's like, oh, special door so that we cannot go inside and see them. And it's like they constantly try to separate us from them. And I've told the kids, all you're doing is they're going to double down and triple down. Don't think that whatever you're saying out here is actually making them think that what they're doing is wrong. It's actually doubling them down on their confidence. Because when you're stuck in that confidence game, imagine anytime you're met with resistance, if you really take it, then you have to accept that everything's a lie and you're being lied to and you're part of a scam. The betrayal blindness that develops as a result, as a literal result of being in the scam, doesn't allow you to see the facts. Because if you see the facts, you literally end up, like L. Ron Hubbard told all his proteges, you'll end up going crazy, like as if they told you the Xenu story when you weren't prepared. So Xenu's not going to make anyone go crazy. What's going to go crazy is the truth. What's going to go crazy is all the things that we're discussing here, because those people are literally like really so out of it that, they're really not getting it. But we don't give a shred of an F. The police is the ones that need to start criminal investigations and start holding people accountable for breaking the laws, for having kept our passports under lock and key for our entire formative years. When we see actual accountability for that, when we see actual outrage over what all of these parents, we don't give a shred of an F what in the hell you thought. All of the Scientology parents need to be told that whatever in the hell they thought they were doing that was so great wasn't. And the sooner they realize that, and the sooner they start speaking out against what in the hell they did themselves, the sooner more kids will be helped. The sooner they play dumb, the sooner they play the victim. Oh, I didn't know what in the hell I was doing. I don't want to talk about anything. Well, then you're not helping anything. You're just literally helping yourself by sticking your head in the sand. And that's not helping anyone, but not even yourselves, like not even your literal selves. And here's Willie Weed. Yeah, sold into slavery, it looked like to me. That's right. We have modern day slavery taking place in the streets of Los Angeles, you guys. We have modern day slavery, modern day child slavery. And it's literally not what should be happening in this country that purports to be all about laws. And there's plenty of lawyers that should have been advising their client to not be this unhinged. So they could not be more responsible for, and the hell happened to us too, since they are literally the ones covering up, literally the puppet masters of Marty Rathbun, of Mike Rinder, of David Miscavige, that, you know, as much as they thought they were influencing the attorneys, and they did, but the attorneys also used them. So it's a double jeopardy there. Attorneys that don't do a shred of due diligence, and a client that is so unhinged, pathological liar, psychotic AF, out of their mind, has no common sense, has complete power trips, delusions of grandeur that couldn't be more unfounded, that it landed them exactly what in the hell they landed. So many went along with this absurdity. Yeah, that's what they're getting called out on. It was an absurdity, Scientology parents. It was an utter absurdity. And if it wasn't implicating kids, had you all just said, okay, no one can go inside the hotel unless 21 and up, then we maybe would have gone inside the hotel, tried it out for ourselves, hated it, left, abused for 7 years, but then did leave, and then we wouldn't talk here. Literally, we wouldn't talk. So sorry, Serge. I've been learning a lot over the years about the COS. In the last 2 years, I've learned a ton. I will tell you that your passion has fired me up, and I'll be active in what is needed for me. Thank you so much, Tedez. I mean, that's what's actually this journey about, you guys. Finding advocates, finding real volunteers, right? Like all of you are volunteering your time, and we are being so respectful of that, because, you know, the only way to get the advocacy out is by getting the message out and by getting people to understand, like, what's what. You know, it's very complicated. It's very, very hard for us to have to do this work ourselves, like, seriously. But, you know, we are doing it just like the kids on TikTok. We're here volunteering our time, you know, really raising these voice. And it always helps that you guys are listening, because then it's not for nothing. Then it's not for nothing. Then every day is a baby step towards the recovery that we all deserve, towards the justice that all children that have been ensnared in this disgusting scheme actually deserve. And also, like all the kids that I speak to on my end that are, you know, reaching out in droves today. You know, we've had more messages from kids that I've ever had in my whole life, and kids under the radar and all manner of situations. So it feels great that they're feeling like they can reach out, because that means that they're less afraid. And that's the thing, you guys. The only thing they had over us is their bullshit game of fear. That's what they used to control us. Scary this, scary that, and they were very scary. But today we are adults. We have all of y'all witnessing what in the hell, and we couldn't be more protected. Literally could not be more protected. So it's good to be on the other side of it all. Serge, did the kids understand that they needed their passports? No, Tammy. Sorry about the pronunciation. We didn't. I mean, we were told, like I think I said before, but I said they told us it was a valuable document. So they literally lied to us about what it was, our passport. And they just gave it another definition to redefine it. And then all of a sudden, I think that's why I never really thought about my passport being my passport and being something that is so illegal to do. Because I just considered it a valuable document. And these words stay in your head, you guys. And that's how they harm you, right? Like, oh, Serge, all val docs are part of HCO. I mean, that means nothing to you guys. That means to us that every passport, that anything valuable that is a government issued document had to be given to literal Hubbard Communications Office, the ethics department of these hotels. And, again, they were calling it ethics. So you think ethics, ethical, valuable document, all these words that are being used to manipulate you in real time, to control you like a little robot on remote control is how they had us. Valuable document, give it to me, dumb blow, all these words used to suppress us. Hi, DC, shout out to you. They always settled out of court, though, in private, no real consequences. Yeah, that's right, Hamilton. Like all the things that the Scientology has done, you guys, it's all settled out of court. It's all been civil lawsuits. Civil lawsuits were way beyond the point of giving a literal shred of an F about a civil lawsuit. That all it's going to do is stick us to these people for years and years and years until, they give our attorneys enough money to be like, okay, well, you really have to take this and consider yourself lucky and just shut the F up for the rest of your life. Have a great life. Here's your millions, blood money that we don't give a shred of an F about. So yeah, civil lawsuit is like literally a total insult for us, you guys, because this was no civil matter. This was a full-blown criminal matter. We need criminal investigations. We need Debbie Cook investigated. Debbie Cook literally immunize yourself, Debbie Cook, for all we give a literal shred of an F about. Immunize yourself, but go and give actual testimony about what in the hell you were doing. So there's an out for everyone, guys. They can redeem themselves, but they have to come clean. You cannot redeem yourself by cashing checks. Literally cannot do that. They're no longer getting away so easily now. The current order for discovery is a huge step in the right direction. Carl, literally search. My cousin Christopher has left Scientology, but is still claiming it's not a cult. What do you advise I do in terms of deprogramming? Thank you for the question, Carl. That's a good question. I mean, again, I don't know the circumstances of your cousin, but I believe that the more you are all understanding what they actually believe, the more you can actually question the things that are not up for opinion. Meaning that we have plenty of corroborated testimony from so many kids that left the hotels with their passports locked up. So you want to say you were not part of a cult? Okay, well, you're part of a trafficking thing because look, the law says that you are in the systemic practice of locking up underage minors' passports. That is a criminal act. So, a lot of this resistance over the word cult happens because it's like, no, it's not a cult. No, it did help me. No, it had good things about it. And it's always like that, right? Because their cognitive dissonance doesn't allow them to see the truth for what it is. If they had to admit that they were part of like a child abuse ring, I'm sure it's not convenient. So their own, their own brains protect them from actually saying what should be said, and that's fine. I get that. But, the time has come to stop playing dumb. And that's our message to all of these guys, you guys. It's like, if you cannot find out for yourself, then we'll just remind you. Totally fine. Shout out to Children of Scientology in the chat. Cindy, Carl, I know that Aaron talked about a book written by an ex-Mooney member that talks about the bite model, which describes a cult clearly. Do you know the title? It's Steve Hassan's book, you guys. I forget the name of it because I never read it, but it's Steve Hassan's book. I think it's his name, Steve Hassan or Steve Hassan, something like that. Oh, here it is. Thank you, love it. Combating Mind Control by Stephen Hassan. Yes. So he left Scientology, is still claiming it's a cult. Oh, I'm afraid he might just cult hop to another grift. I mean, that's a problem, Carl, for cult hoppers, when they're so addicted to that programming, so addicted to being validated by a group. They cannot stand on their own 2 feet and just be themselves because they always need to identify with this bigger thing. And it's just like, it's like a narcissistic derangement, because why do you need to be so important and lauded as a great person? Just give that power to your own self. Shout out for Grounded for Truth. Yes, no more kids in Scientology. Thank you, Grounded for Truth. Children of Scientology, as long as there are parents in Scientology who are groomed to believe their children are adults in small bodies, then the children are always going to be groomed for the C organization. That's very true, you guys. That is very, very true. And that's why we are speaking out against it, because if our parents hadn't put us in harm's way, we would have not ended in harm's way. So yes, David Miscavige figured out a whole scheme on how to make it look all so legal and schmeagle. Fine. Yes, Debbie Cook was there trying to recruit us as much as she could. I mean, the first time Debbie Cook and Janet Herring tried to recruit me, you guys, I was 12 years old. And I had signed the contract at 12. Then I went back. Then my parents said, no, you cannot join yet, but you really should become an auditor. We're going to make you an auditor and then you can join. So from 12 to 15, they made me an auditor. And then I was literally abducted to be part of that disgusting place. Case in the house. Usually you wake up in stages. The last stage is realizing that tech is horribly wrong and abusive, and that is all a grift. Very well said, Case in the house. That is the last step. And that is probably the most painful, you guys. That's probably the most painful, because I cannot overstate the level of like betrayal, like how dumb you feel, like what? Like, oh my God. Because again, it's like when you are being put to do these disgusting drills and courses and audits and interrogations, you have to dissociate. Like, dude, you don't have a choice. It's not like I want to dissociate here. No, it's like you don't have a choice. You're being traumatized. You're being abused. You're being data mined. You're being dehumanized. So, that is what ends up happening. Yeah. Mr. Bumble Jr. Aaron and Reese's Real Wives of Scientology videos feature Scientology moms talk about how they have their kids audited in their Facebook group. Correct, you guys. More receipts, more corroboration, more evidence. This is a literal practice happening as we speak. And again, it's like, if no one in the history of Scientology has ever shamed the parents, and it's not easy, you guys. It's not easy to really know what you're going to shame if you haven't read all the L. Ron Hubbard stuff, if you haven't gone inside the hotel, if you haven't seen it for yourself, if you haven't been made a part of it. But that's why we're spending all this time doing long form content, getting into the weeds of all of this, so that people start understanding what the problem is and then start doing something about it altogether. Because, you know, kids need advocates. And I know all of you are literally 100% for that. Melissa Harris, sorry if you answered this before, but it's too late for you to press charges again to statute of limitations. Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Yeah, I mean, and we'll be talking more about the corruption at the Clearwater Police, you guys, because, you know, I did go to them so we could open a criminal investigation, given that I was a minor made to be the twin of a self-admitted, you know exactly what in the hell I mean. And there was unthinkable abuse. There were disgusting things that were done to me. And apparently the Clearwater Police cannot find anything. Literally, we will be getting into their abominable, ridiculous, glib AF investigation, you guys. We have receipts, but that's the good news, right? Because a lot of survivors don't even get to go to the police, don't even get to figure out how to put things in writing. I already did all that due diligence and heavy lifting, and so did 3 or 4 other kids that went and told the Clearwater Police what's going on inside of the hotels. So the Clearwater Police has no shred of, oh, we had no idea, Serge. We've never heard that. Never mind that they constantly were picking kids that were underage out of the beach that would try to run away and would be right back to Sarah Heller and Debbie Cook. So the Clearwater Police is little buddy buddies with these people. So don't get it twisted. They couldn't be more buddy buddies. They couldn't be more groomed. Dianetics, hey sir, so much respect for you. It's frustrating that your truth is barely coming to the light. Your truth has been censored and hidden by these execs for years. It is infuriating. All of them are sick. Thank you, Dianetics. Yeah, I agree. I agree that this truth has been buried. We've been muscled, and, you know, shout out to you too, because you're another child that survived this unthinkable abuse. And, you know, all we want is for the unthinkable abuse that was perpetrated on us to not be happening to kids as we speak, you guys. For us as survivors, it is not optional that these people are still at it, not being called out, being cradled and canoodled, everyone playing dumb on the sidelines as if this is something really hard, what we're in the hell we're saying, you know, and it's all just a facade, like as if the Clearwater Police and the LAPD couldn't have done something to stop it. They have the laws. We pay them to enforce laws, and they've been nowhere around to enforce any laws. Tell him being a victim doesn't make you a 1-1 or whoever it is. Those are pedo tools used to groom. Show the scars. Yeah. Mummers, except don't they shred documents? Mummers, yes and no. They shred some documents, but they're not allowed to shred a lot of things. L. Ron Hubbard prohibits absolutely any session you ever had in Scientology cannot be touched, according to L. Ron Hubbard. No one can grab a paper and take it out. No one can. So anything they do is because they're doing it fully in bad faith, as they are, just the racketeers that they are, to be honest. Seor Goddard would love to know how and when you escaped. Yeah, you can look it up in my YouTube, Seor Goddard. There's plenty of videos that I've done about my father and everything. So we have actually put a lot of that already on the public record. So just take a deep dive, and there's a lot there for y'all to see. I really want to thank all of you for holding this space today, and for listening, and for going deep into the weeds as we discuss all of these different aspects of what is going on in those hotels. And as we continue to audit the public record and audit the authorities and audit all the corporate media that are complicit in enabling what is going on in those hotels. And we really do acknowledge and want to thank all of you for investing your time and energy and bandwidth to hear of these unthinkable atrocities that even a lot of you that were not ever implicated or had anything to do with are showing such good faith in wanting to turn things around and really ban all minors from being exposed to the scourge of L. Ron Hubbard's rhetoric and the application of said rhetoric by his unhinged, self-entitled minions that do not deserve to be gaining unfeathered access to children. So we couldn't be more clear in our message. We couldn't be more clear about what in the hell we are pressed AF about. We couldn't be more livid as we discuss these things every day. But at least we are directing our emotion towards where it belongs, to the perpetrators that were committing felonies on U.S. soil that have been literally enabled to do so and get away with it all scot-free. So we're calling for a full reckoning to happening. We've already called this the golden age of reckoning, David Miscavige. So F your golden age of tech. You're getting a golden age of reckoning. And the golden age of reckoning is all children 21 and under to leave the MF hotels. That's what we're asking. No child can consent. No child can literally know what in the hell any of these people are talking about. So don't expose them to your disgusting language. Don't groom them with disgusting terms. Don't do disgusting things and expect to get away with it under the pretense that you're all really, practicing a religion of all things. That false pitch is dead AF. We've shredded it. You couldn't be more called out. You have literally nowhere to hide or pathetically type anything that is going to make any more shred of sense, because we have gotten to the weeds. Bo Beats, thank you for your super chat. I see good change in Sterling lately. Have you talked? Thank you, Bo Beats. No, I haven't talked to him at all. So I'm glad if he's having great changes, then that's great, you guys, because it means that we accomplished what we set out to be. No more whitewashing, and that's all we're asking for. But no, I have not spoken to Sterling at all. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all extremely soon when we decide to go and audit Scientology again. Let's see what other shenanigans they're up against, because we are not stopping anytime soon. OSA. We're not stopping. We're not getting bored. We're literally getting more pressed to demand the answers that we deserve, that we have deserved for such a long time, that you all are playing dumb about. And we got plenty of people literally here backing it up. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And thank you so much. I will see you all extremely soon. Bye-bye.